Father, we come to you today with thankfulness. Thankful for all the blessings you put in our life each and every day. Thank you for allowing us to live in the best country in the entire world, the United States of America. Thank you for the men and women of the armed forces that continue to protect those freedoms each and every day, Father. But most of all, we thank you for the gift of your Son, Jesus. For through his death and resurrection is our salvation each and every day, Father. So today we ask for your hand of protection over the drivers, the competitors, track services, and all the fans today, Father, because this is the best sport in the entire world, and your Son is our salvation. And in Jesus' precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome North Carolina native Briley Hussey.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It's time to go to work for these young drivers. And again, a playoff advancement on the line here at the Charlotte Roval.
Thanks for being here on what has become an annual day at Charlotte Motor Speedway to celebrate survivors, our collective voices to draw awareness to the importance of early detection and treatment for breast cancer.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield in North Carolina understands the state of women's health in North Carolina impacts the health of all of us here within our state. It's our 8th year being here with Charlotte Motor Speedway to support our survivors across our state.
The Paint the Wall Pink. For many years, I've been able to be a part of it in some form of fashion in years past, but never in this spot. Not only my mother, but most recently my wife's side of the family, her aunt, just went through a double vasectomy, which really hit home for us, right? Because early detection is the only thing that really, from what I understand, saved both their lives.
Had a race fan write me a letter and his mom is going for breast cancer. Just can we make the window nets pink? Sounds like a brilliant idea. Let me go to work. And so a small idea from a race fan will now have every NASCAR car at the Roval without a pink window net. And we're just trying to create more awareness for breast cancer, support the survivors, and everybody going through the process.
We know the importance of healthcare and giving back to our communities. It's just a great day to be here. We're here to support our survivors, to lift them up during this time, to give them the hope and support that they need each and every day.
North Carolina, now you can choose your health plan for NC Medicaid. Healthy Blue covers all the NC Medicaid benefits you expect, like doctor visits, prescriptions, and hospital stays, plus extras for new and expecting moms. Choose the brand North Carolinians have trusted for more than 85 years. Pick Healthy Blue now for NC Medicaid at ChooseHealthyBlue.com. Trust the
work. Quite simply, this is a pressure cooker. A playoff battle, a very difficult situation for these drivers to be in. We love you, AJ. Way to do it, my man. This is the most difficult track you go to all year.
No one should feel great about heading into the Roval.
Road courses are a great place to lose a lot of points.
Can he hang on to it? No, he's going to go around.
Hold on to it. Hold on to it. Hold on to it.
AJ Allmendinger will win at the Charlotte Roval. It's NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs, the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Today's telecast presented by Blue Emu. And before the engines fire and we get that command, let's get a few updates. We'll start with Dave.
Rick, Justin Allgaier is having a fantastic 2021 playoffs. Finishes of second and third have him in prime position to advance to the next round today. You heard Dale Jarrett talk about it in terms of being home free if he could just stack on a few points. And after checking in with the team here, that's exactly what they want to do. Set themselves up with stage points in the first stage, then perhaps see what they want to do in terms of strategy to go out and just win this thing, Parker.
Well, Dave, for Riley Herbst, it's a little bit different story. 32 points below the cut line in this playoff cutoff race. So his objective is simple. He's going into this thinking, I must win this race. But if others have issues, I asked him, do you want to know if this starts to shift to a point situation? He said, absolutely. I want to know if we start having to race for points. That's my objective for here at Riley Herbst. And Marty Snyder, I think for another driver, it might be a totally different objective.
Yeah, that would be Noah Gragson. And it's funny, when I talked to him before the Talladega race last week, Parker, he said, my goal today, be as aggressive as I can be. But when I talked to him today, he said, the exact opposite. I want to be conservative. Just keep it on the road today, and we'll get out of here with a top 10 finish. Rick, right now, they are plus 18 above the cut line. A top 10 puts Noah Gragson through to the round of 8.
And Marty, that's surprising because Noah has continued to tell us, hey, I like the entertainment value of what I can do. I go out there and I try to make the crowd ooh and awe with each move I make. So we'll see which Noah Gragson is behind the wheel today. Let's get things underway. We'll fire the engines. Let's go for the command.
And now, race fans, here to say the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina employees Sarah Lopez, Victoria Artis, and Robin Winter.
Drivers, start your engines!
Fire in the hole here. Fire in the hole. Fire in it.
Beautiful view, standing in front of that pink car. And of course, Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the Charlotte Roval taking on the backdrop for today's playoff race.
For the Cure 250 presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield. And wow, how cool was that to see Corey LaJoy, who is a Cup driver, giving our invocation and rocking one of his dad's 74 FINA shirts from back when his father was a Busch Series champion. How cool was that? The kickball team also including our friend Brian Flores and Mama Smith and a host of fun folks that won that title once again earlier in the week. So congrats to Corey and company. And also want to draw our attention to a few more folks from around the grassroots world. Stephanie Moyer here from Pennsylvania's Evergreen Speedway, and Brandon Bittler from Indiana's Mount Lawn Raceway also joining us in amongst all the fans here that are ready to watch the drive for the Cure 250. And 3 cars to keep an eye on. Preston Partis, the number 90, look way to the back. He's an
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Blue Emu Microfoam, the official pain relief foam of NASCAR. Soft on skin, strong on pain. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Visit gocreditone.com. And by Toyota.
There's a lot of road racetracks. There's only one Roval.
It's a real challenging, fun racetrack.
This Roval is giving drivers nightmares right now.
It's a different type of road course. It's a different type of challenge.
The most challenging road course on the schedule.
Never lost sight of how chaotic that race is. Chaotic, hectic for sure.
The Roval is a wild race.
The Roval is exciting.
A.J. Allmendinger comes to the Roval and rings up a victory. Back-to-back years, A.J. Allmendinger takes the victory on the Roval.
The craziness doesn't stop.
The Roval is uncertain.
Drivers describing this racetrack, chaotic, uncertain. Let's take a look at the starting grid brought to you by Blue Emu. At front, it will be Cindric and Allgaier, two greats on road courses. Hemrick and Annette, who will have to start in the rear, scheduled to start in row 2, but Annette will have to go to the back.
Yeah, the Burton Cousins making up row 4. You see row 6 there, Ty Gibbs. Right behind him, A.J. Allmendinger. He's won the last 2 races here at the Roval.
Sam Bayer, another driver who's been a spoiler this year, has been able to get to victory lane. Brett Moffitt will start in row 11. Ty Dillon back in row 13. Sage Karam, we saw his name up there as well.
And Josh Malicki in row 16. The man drove all night from Chicago to get here on time. Flight got canceled. That's some commitment, Rick.
Yeah, have to drive through the night to get to the racetrack. Let's chat with one of the drivers, Harrison Burton Jr. Dial him up on the radio.
Hey, Harrison, this is Dale Jr. Booth. You got us?
Hey, man, I got you.
Man, happy birthday. You turned 21 today. I want to ask you about the party you're going to have, but your dad wants me to talk racing. So you got 5 top 10s at 6 road course races this year. How you feel about today at the Roval?
Really good. You know, we've really worked hard at Jacobs Racing at our road course program. We felt like some teams were kind of beating us, and we really don't like that, right? So we went to work on it. Feel like we've gotten a lot better at it, in particular our braking package. So I'm excited to go try it out today, go try and beat my cousin Jeb right beside me, and try and get in the playoffs. It's a crazy scenario for us as a family, but it's a lot of fun to try and beat Jeb and go to race against it.
Yeah, how much information do you want throughout the race, especially at the end of these stages, as to where you are with the point situation with Jeb?
Well, I like to be as informed as possible and know what I have to do so it's not a surprise, right, when it does come. So I know if he's behind me, then we're good. So I'll try and keep it as simple as that.
All right, man. Well, we really appreciate you talking to us. Good luck today in the race.
Thank you.
He's got the Toyota onboard camera. Today you see that reverse driver camera, and he also has a side panner on the number 20 car.
Great to see how hard these drivers work, especially on these road courses, the Roval here at Charlotte. For more updates, let's go to Dave.
Well, Rick, it's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking about A.J. Allmendinger and just how much he loves this place, told us in the pre-race show. And we're going to be talking all day long about just how difficult this place is. Guess he loves a challenge, and I guess Nutrient Ag Solutions picked a good day to ride on board with him and provide us with all these great shots, Parker.
Right, Dave, we also get some great shots here of Justin Haley. Thank the Leaf Home Solutions here. And for Justin Haley coming in 24 points above the cut line and being a bit of a road course ace, you'd think they'd be very confident on this team. Well, except for 2 reasons why not. They finished 31st and 35th here on the Roval. For his crew chief Alex Jans told me, we just need points. If we score those stage points, then I'll unleash him in stage 3. But our focus for the first half of this race is getting points, Marty.
Parker, an interesting dynamic for Austin Cindric, certainly one of the favorites here at the Roval today. They are the only team advanced to the round of 8, but they also know today is their last shot to get playoff points that will help them later on in the playoffs this year. So do they race for the win, or do they race for those playoff points? We'll see what happens with the 22 as the day plays out. Run.
Marty, you see that pink window net on the 22. This week on Tuesday, it was Paint It Pink Day here at the track where Daniel Hemrick Kurt Busch and dozens of breast cancer survivors came and painted all the walls pink. It's a huge reminder for this month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Definitely something special and different to look at here at the Roval today.
Marcus Smith, the whole crew here at Charlotte Motor Speedway do this annually, raising awareness for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and a lot put into it. Actually, tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun with the window nets on all of the Cup cars, and there's a great story there with Kurt Busch. We will talk about that tomorrow. The field 2x2 working their way behind the pace car now. Steve, break this one down for us.
Well, much is talked about it, much anticipated. The Roval now in its 4th year, and I'm not sure it's gotten any easier. 2.32 miles, as Jeff Burton put it, kind of jam-packed into a 1.5-mile oval, 17 turns. Basically, you have 8 turns throughout the infield, and you climb the banking, a backstretch chicane and a front stretch chicane. 67 laps. Stage 1, 20 laps. Stage 2, 20 laps. That final stage, 27 laps. The fuel window, you can go in the mid-30s. So you can run an entire stage on fuel, but when you pit, and that strategy will be important to watch, the balance of, you know, do I score points at the end of the stages or do I fight for track position?
Different agendas for each team. And just in front of the field is the official pace car for today's race, the Toyota GR Supra. We actually had the opportunity to take those Supras around the track earlier today to get a feel for what this track's going to be like. Junior was pretty aggressive over the turtles.
Yeah. We had a little fun. Man, I was reading on social media, people were asked one word, how would you describe the Roval? I would describe it as Frankenstein. This is exactly what I think Marcus Smith looked like when he came up with this racetrack. And we dropped the green flag for the first race of the Roval.
So one interesting thing I'm here about the Roval is also how the race is started. There's a chicane on the front stretch that's run under green flag racing, but drivers, it's not used for the start of the race. They actually stay on the oval itself and use the front stretch. A difficult challenge we've seen.
Yeah, it's huge because you're actually going faster when you approach turn 1 than you are at any other time in the race. So right here at the start of the race, it gets tough.
Elimination race from the Charlotte Roval underway for the Xfinity Series. Three and 4 wide as they try to negotiate through turn 1. Very tight. Coming through 2 and into 3.
As you mentioned, Rick, we were on the track earlier today, and what jumped out about this infield section was just the lack of runoff. It feels like a street course. Walls on both sides, so any sort of issue and there will be contact.
Justin Allgaier in the 7, trying to hold that inside spot with the 22, but it's Austin Cindric now in the 22 that is able to take the advantage. The 7 gives them a little bump there as they came out onto the big course.
We got a spinner.
That's in turn 8, just as they come on to the 1.5 miles, and the 44 is around.
Tell me, Joe Martins, that's some damage on the right front fender you see right there. Car up and rolling. We'll see if he feels he can continue or have to come to pit road to work on that right front fender as we go back to the lead. This is now in the 3 and 4 banked end of the racetrack down to this front stretch chicane.
And Steve, again, the rules here, there are stopping points around the racetrack, or 2 spots on the racetrack. If they miss these chicanes or if they do something wrong through the chicanes, they have to come to a stop.
Yeah, basically those blue turtles, the interior curbing, you have to find at least 2 tires. So you can almost completely miss the corner, but if you can just get 2 tires to go over that curbing, that means you've made the corner. If you miss it, you have to stop either in the backstretch chicane or over here in the restart zone. You only have 1 lap. If you don't stop the lap you missed it, it'll be a pass-through penalty. It will cost you a bunch of time.
Will Rogers spun in the chicane on the back straightaway, has a flat tires on pit road right now, the 26 car. As we see the leaders battling through the infield.
Will Rogers, interesting to be a part of stock car driving as he comes from Hawaii. Not probably a lot of stock car racing in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think there was a little contact with him in the 44. Another spinner in the infield.
Oh, pile up here.
Jay
Buford is
Buford
behind it. Jay Buford in the 48, and the cautions come out.
All right, get him back here. Come on.
So that's a blind corner up over the hill, the 02. very lucky there to be able to get stopped and not get to the door of the 48 car. We'll take a look at a replay here and see how this developed.
Looks like he's already spun around when he comes into the picture. I don't think there's any contact there.
Oh, it starts right here.
And that was Sage Karam that spun in the 31.
Oh, yeah, Jade was trying to get out of the way.
Something to keep in mind about that corner right there. When you're approaching that corner, it's blind. It's an elevation change right there, and you cannot see. So this is earlier. Will Rogers.
So Will had a right rear flat, and I think that happened with the 44 coming out of the infield just before they got to the back straightaway. So he had a flat tire. So this is contact. The 26 is involved in this. It's clipped right there.
Oh, there
that creates the flat tire for the 26 of Will Rogers on the back straightaway. The 44 with a little damage to the right front.
And now you know why all the playoff drivers are so paranoid. Chaos. Only one lap in.
You're watching the drive for the Cure 250 from Charlotte.
Illinois, middle of the land of Lincoln, has just worked his tail off. And then Daniel Hemrick, guy that won the Legends Million more than a decade ago, that launched his career. And now he represents the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina and has done a lot to get the word out about early detection and treatment for breast cancer. There's the Supra Peace Car. Looks like the lights are out. Watch and see if the pace car heads down pit lane. Now they will not use the chicane on a restart, but after they go around the next lap, they'll be using that touch.
You can go inside the headset with access to NASCAR scanner. It's only $4.99 for the playoffs. Listen in on pit strategy, spotter communications. Great stuff to listen to these guys. Visit NASCAR.com/scanner. You can start your subscription today. All right, Jeff, let's look back at the start of this race. It seemed like Jeff Burton, man, he was aggressive early.
Well, we talked about turn one and how important it's going to be into the braking zone. So you see right here, everybody looks pretty good. The 20 of Harrison, he gets checked up. Noah's like, you're going way too slow. Jeb on the bottom, he made it 3 wide, made the corner. Then as this replay continues, see right here, watch Jeb Burton on the inside. A big aggressive move right there. His teammate cut him some slack, and that picked up Jeb a lot of spots.
Dave.
And Harrison under control, all 21 years of him behind the wheel. Told me before the race started he was very confident about this race and felt like his road course racing had improved a ton. So not in a bad spot right now, needs to find his way back toward those points. For the moment, though, nice and calm, Parker.
Right, Dave. And Jeff, we weren't the only ones that noticed that aggressive move by Jeb Burton. His team was discussing on the radio. Take a listen.
So let's start from turn one. a little aggressive there, so you just need to do what we talked about. Be patient, race the track. No mistakes here. Just take what the car will give you, give us a chance to work on them. Don't forget, you got teammates on the racetrack also, so just looked a little aggressive on entry all the way.
Right, and they even went as far as to say, hey, we're going to look at the SMT data, which can show you exactly where you're braking, tell you where those markers are. And remember, Jeb has not driven a stock car here. Although he did some laps in a Trans Am car, these are his first laps in a stock car around the Roval, just trying to find those markers right now.
And we mentioned earlier the Cousins really racing right around that cut line. You look at where the line is. Jeb Burton actually above the cut line. When they started this race, it was Harrison that was above the cut line, so making up some ground early.
Making up ground, and it'll become more clear as the race goes. We still have to pace points at the end of stage 1, the end of stage 2. And I really think that's changed the whole view of these races. Before, you knew coming in how many points you had to find, and you had all day to find them. Now you come in, you're 8 below. And the projected points are fine, but let's get to the end of stage 1 and say, okay, did we gain or lose relative to who we're competing against? It's really like 3 races in 1. I think you threw that out there at Talladega, Rick, and you're absolutely right. From on top of the pit box, let's just try to consume the first stage, take a deep breath, and then work on the second.
We'll be keeping our eye on this also toward the front of the field. Justin Allgaier currently scored in second, Dave.
This was the pre-race chatter from spotter Eddie DeHaan.
Let's go over real quick what I can't see would need your help with. Around turn 1 is some banners for a short period. Turn 1 towards turn 2. And then on the infield there in turn 3 from building to building. Those are the only 2 areas I really can't see very well.
We've talked about blind spots. The help spotter will be Justin's dad, Mike. He's the one that fills in, and Eddie Hunt just said, when I stop talking, you start talking.
Getting ready for the restart now. It's Cindric and Allgaier making up that front row. Again, coming through the restart zone, up through the gears, and back at it here at Charlotte. Top 2 stay side by side through 1 and 2. Daniel Hemrick in the 18, that pink 18 just behind these 2, looking for his first ever win in Xfinity Series.
Pretty incredible, the leaders being able to run side by side this far into the restart. Good wide racetrack.
You want to try to get single file here. If you come off here side by side, you're going to lose all your momentum. Allgaier with a big problem right there. Got really tight on corner exit.
You found the first corner you can't go through side by side. So on the outside.
It's a heavy braking zone here, Junior. This is a place you want to.
Oh, he's wheel hopping. It's not going to make the corner. Wow. Really, really careful there. Almost got to the back of the leader, the 22 car. Wonder, though, if he did any damage to that car. That was a very big wheel hop, very hard on the components, the back end of the race car.
A great
Well, that's
save.
easy does it. Long way to go.
Right there, the wheels are bouncing up and down on the racetrack. You see the black marks it's leaving. Normally a driver will spin out when he does that. He did a great job saving it.
Yeah. Not only that, but I'm telling you, it beats the rear end housing, the yoke, the gear, the axles, drive plates, all of that.
It was all rear lockup, no front. Holy crap.
I saw it.
Great assessment by Justin Allgaier. Yeah. All rear lockup. Front tires were still rolling. The rears were locked up and smoking.
Noah Gregson's just behind him in the 9. He was pretty aggressive coming into the front chicane. He got a little bit sideways, trying to gain some ground on Allgaier.
Now that's thrown Allgaier off his rhythm. He's trying to figure out whether he needs to make any adjustments.
All right, reset now. Long way to go. We're in a good place right here. Reset.
That's great information to calm him down. He's got a lot of anxiety. Does he need to make adjustments to the brake bias? Do I need to do anything to the car? What's he going to do in this next braking zone down here where we had that trouble?
But he can feel what it did to those rear tires. They said it just killed my rear tires. Spotter said, I can imagine.
That's Eddie DeHaan, we heard earlier, the calming voice on the radio for Justin Allgaier. Everyone able to get through and negotiate this back chicane. And once again, you see a little smoke out of the 9 of Noah Gragson.
Right on board here, right around this racetrack with the 11 car, Justin Haley down into turn 1. Even more smoke up there. Continuing to see some lockup issues with the JR Motorsports cars through turn 2. Downhill. Now it gets really loose. The car goes over to the left front. It's really loose right there. Into turn 4, a really fun corner, but you cross over this curb right here, lose all rear grip just for a second.
And then coming right here to turn 5. This is a part of the racetrack we just saw that incident where people could not see. See how blind it is? You cannot see anything ahead of you. Big elevation change. Now downhill, back uphill. Now you're going to make a left, a hard left, and now you're driving into oval turn 1. Car does not drive well transitioning onto the banking of turn 1, and now down the back straightaway. And we saw that big lockup from Allgaier a little while ago. Look at the numbers on the right side of the wall. 8, 7, 6, 5. Those are your braking points. That's what drivers are going to use to determine when to start braking.
2 big curves right here on the entrance to the chicane. No curbs on exit. You can be creative, use a lot of room here, go wherever you want. Into NASCAR 3 and 4. A couple different approaches to this final chicane. You come in here really low and short. You can get out wide for a little bit more braking zone, a little bit more straight line braking. See some lockup again from the 7 car. 2 big curbs right here. Justin Allgaier in big trouble battling that race car.
And once again, the Burtons are together. And they've said this before. 2 weeks ago when we talked to them, they said, you know what? It always seems like we end up racing near each other and against each other. And once again, now it almost comes down to these 2 for that final spot as we see more smoke coming out of the 7. He must have hit the wall.
I don't know what's going on, dude. I got major problems.
We've seen the 7 with lots of brake lockup. We've seen him wheel hopping. We've seen the fronts locked up. Now, big damage.
It's like the brakes are messed up, man. I got no idea what's going on.
Oh, he got really loose getting that corner. You can see the left side tires turn to the right. He said he got really loose. Watch it right here. He's out of the groove. But he talked about, Junior, he was having brake issues. And there is no racetrack where brakes are more important than a road course. You have to have good braking.
Now at this point, the 7 has to decide, do they need to pit? Is there too much damage to continue? It looks to me like I don't know how that right rear tire will survive. I think with the points position that Allgaier's in, he just needs to come in.
We're going to just pull fenders. Don't worry about tires. Just go over and clearance it.
There you go. That's Jason Burdett. Say pit this time. Just get the fender off the tire. This is a huge racetrack. 90-second lap times, 85-second lap times. So there's a lot of time for the 7. You see the 22 on the bottom of your screen serving a penalty. He must have missed one of the chicanes. We'll go back and review that. But here's the 7, a playoff driver on pit road making reviews. Let's take a look at the 22. Okay, so misses the backstretch chicane. So now he serves his penalty on the front stretch. He has to come to a stop in the restart zone on the same lap in which he missed the chicane.
He did that and had enough of a lead that he's actually still in second in this race. Dave.
A lot of damage on this 7 car. They will go to work on it. We started the show saying just how good the playoffs have been so far for Justin Allgaier. Finished 2nd and then 3rd in the first 2 races. That has given him a little bit of a cushion, but now they have to return from here and collect some points on the day. This will more than likely put them a lap down as they try to get it right before they head back out.
So watch what Cindric did. Okay, you mentioned it. He didn't lose that much track position. So the rule is you have to stop on the front straightaway to serve the penalty. Watch what he did. He knows he's going to miss it. Right here, he knows he's going to miss it. What does he do? He throttles up. He just carries as much speed through there as he can, drives to the front straightaway, and then serves his penalty. That way he's lost as little time as possible.
It was a stop and go. He did it. He's currently 2nd. This telecast presented by Blue Emu. Tomorrow, it's Sunday Night Football on NBC. Josh Allen, the 3-1 Bills, are going to visit Patrick Mahomes and the 2-2 Chiefs. That coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America. What a battle. Again, rematch of last year's AFC Championship game, which was won by Kansas City. Well, the caution has just come out here as Greg Gaulding has stopped in the backstretch chicane. The AMR safety team immediately to him and checking on that. Looks like they're going to push him back to pit road. Let's take a look at what happened.
You see him heading basically straight down the backstretch, gets into the braking zone, some wheel lock up, then you see some smoke. I don't know if it's a driveline failure or an engine failure, but something wouldn't allow him to continue.
Almost looks like, see right there, the wheels are locked up, but look at it as it continues in there. Both rear wheels are still locked up. See right there, all the marks?
Yeah. Oh. They think they're going to push this car back, but I'm not sure it's going to roll.
So the tow truck gets behind him. They'll try to push him back to the infield, and we'll be back to a restart.
Started his career way back in the Legends days, more than a decade ago, but continuing to compete at the NASCAR Xfinity Series level.
Under the second caution of the day for the Xfinity Series here at the Charlotte Roval, right along with AJ Allmendinger and then the Ag Solutions bumper cam. Pretty good perspective there as they make their way through the ovals, turns 3 and 4. And Daniel Hemrick is out in front. You see him with the pink number 18. And we'll see if it looks like quite a few have made their way past pit road. So, Steve, this was an option for some of the drivers to come onto pit road here.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't see more pitters from here. I believe you could stretch the fuel to make it to the end of stage 2. So this is an option for those guys that needed a few stage points to pit now, because I believe there's going to be a wave of green flag pit stops at the end of the stage, but the leaders must not agree with me. The crew chiefs on pit road, they're going to stay on the racetrack, keep that track position. Now, I will say, it's easy to say come to pit road and work that whole strategy, but then you get in the back of this mess, and maybe they just don't feel it's safe enough to be back there on these restarts, Dave.
Daniel Hemrick leading in the 18 car. His spotter's Tony Hirschman and crew chief is Dave Rogers. They had a discussion on Channel 2 about Hemrick being too aggressive on the turtles, and then they told Hemrick.
Yeah, I think we're too hard right now.
Okay, agreed. Listen, you're definitely being more aggressive on entry, going over the blue turtles, backstretch chicane, front stretch chicane. So it's nice and easy. Take care of your stuff here.
Those turtles are certainly in bounds, right, guys? But they can have an effect on this car over time.
Okay, so turtles, it's become a popular name. So basically you have the curbing. You see the red and white curbing, but the blue, much taller curbing on the inside. You see it right here. The goal is to not hit that. There's a better shot. You're going to run over that red and white all the time. You see the black marks on the blue. You can hit it at times, drivers, but those are what, 4, 5, 6 inches tall? We were out there earlier. Jeff, you were afraid to even touch them with a pace car. They're so tall.
Well, let's see when a race car hits them what it looks like, and this is why they were saying to Daniel, hey, look, man, right, maybe not this early in the race to be on these turtles. There may be speed there, but watch Daniel Hemrick as he drives in the corner early in the race. Watch what it does to the race car. Boom! I mean, just shoots the whole right side of the race car up in the air, and that puts a tremendous amount of force. Look at Allgaier right through. He's already wrecked. It just puts tons of force through those lower control arms, the ball joints, all that front suspension, and we've seen damage created by these turtles on this racetrack. So early in the race, let's try to stay away from them.
Let's get this straight, though. Steve, you said that Jeff was a little bit nervous about going over those turtles when we were in the Supra pace car earlier. Junior, on the other hand, I was about 3 feet in the air. I was in the passenger side, and he was hitting them like he wanted to jump them.
Well, the difference is I was in sport mode going at a high rate of speed.
Okay.
Okay. Well, NASCAR Drive, that is your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers all race long with high-definition in-car cameras. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app today. And, yeah, it's a shell, so I think that was Corey LaJoie that went out there one night and decided, I'm going to make this into the Ninja Turtles.
Well, I'm going to tell you that's not a very good ninja, because that's not hidden. I mean, that turtle is the one you're going to hit. No doubt.
Yeah. Marcus was like Frankenstein. He has a sense of humor, too.
So once again, field 2x2. It's Hemrick and Cindric now in row 1. Back up through the gears, carrying a little bit more speed here into turn 1.
Good job by Hemrick to get clear in the first place. We saw side-by-side action on the restart before this for many corners.
They stay side-by-side for third. It's Brandon Jones in the 19 and Noah Gregson in the 9.
A little bit of damage to the right front headlight on the 9 car. Shouldn't be a problem. They coast up the hill in turn 5 into turn 6.
Surprising right behind those two is the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, a 2-time winner here at the Roval.
Remember, with that issue that he had at Talladega, that big impact, he had to start a little further back than perhaps we have seen him. Up to the 5th position, on board with Allmendinger right here. And as we're on board, the 0-2 of Brett Moffitt had to go to the garage. He was smoking from some earlier damage.
AJ's going to outbreak into this zone. He's got the preferred line down into the inside.
Monster cars side by side.
Dave.
Steve talked about the 16 progressing from 12th to 4th now, and he got this kind of advice that Steve Letarte would give his driver. We don't need to bend even one fender, he was told, coming up through here. Be careful, it'll come to you, and it certainly has on this stage.
Patience. I know 67 laps doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, you've won the last 2 races here. You're the favorite. Act like it. Don't push the issue. Just be patient.
Steve, before the end of the stage, 2 laps before the end of the stage, they will close pit road. So are we going to see drivers about 3 laps from now? Are we going to see them diving onto pit road under green flag conditions?
I believe you are. The big question is, can you afford to pit, or do you have to stay on the racetrack for points? As we see Allmendinger making the move on Gregson. A little more damage than I expected on that right front fender of the 9. It smashed it a little bit. So take Allmendinger, for instance. When you look at the points, you know, he is a decent amount currently, almost 54 above, so that's assuming he's going to get stage points. Does his team stay on the racetrack? When we heard Allmendinger say earlier, we just got to get some good points in stage 1 and we'll reassess. So I expect kind of differing plans. Some stay on the racetrack, but I expect to see Austin Cindric, who's already advanced, come to pit road. Marty.
That's the interesting debate, and Steve, you bring up a terrific point. If you're Brian Wilson, crew chief for Austin Cindric, you know that today is your last shot to get a playoff point, and that could help you in the next round and maybe advance you into the championship 4 at Phoenix. So sitting here in stage 1, does Wilson pit his driver, or do they go for that playoff point? Last shot to get it, as I mentioned, Steve. Why not go grab it today as the 92 goes off track?
Yeah, Josh Williams is around in the 92.
That's on the back straightaway chicane for Josh. The car turned around and headed in the right direction.
You know what I like better than 1 playoff point for a stage win? 5 playoff points for a race win, as we see what happened in the 92. You called it, Junior, that backstretch chicane.
Might have got a little help there as he was going through the chicane. Saw Ryan Sieg in the 39 cutting the corner a little bit tighter as well. As Hemrick out in front by almost a second over Austin Cindric. Are we surprised to see this out of Daniel Hemrick, who probably isn't as good or efficient on road courses as the driver behind him?
The driver behind him, Austin Cindric, we all know how talented he is, but Daniel Hemrick has become a very solid road racer. A few years ago, the year before he went cup racing, he turned the corner in the Xfinity series and started running up front on road courses. Wasn't able to get the wins, but started running up front. So, yes, I'm surprised that he can outpace Austin Cindric, but I'm not surprised to see him toward the front.
You saw in that statistic there, over 118 races, that he has not been able to find victory lane. One of the things that Daniel Hemrick has done in his racing career that I selfishly would like to see again, he backflips after he wins a race, aka Carl Edwards. We saw when he would win a race, he would do a backflip. Well, that's what Daniel Hemrick will do if he can get to victory lane. I'd like to see that again.
Well, he learned how to do that right here. You know, he raced legend cars at this racetrack, you know, on this quarter mile, right on the front straightaway. So he spent a lot of time at this racetrack in a completely different race car on the quarter mile, but he has a ton of time on this facility.
It'd be interesting to see just how good this car is over the course of a run. He has good early run speed, but we know that that 22 car could be back there just taking care of the tires, taking care of the car in the braking zone. See if that pace pays off in the end.
Well, if I'm Austin Cindric, maybe not this time because he's so close to the leader, he can wait one more lap. But in the next 2 laps, I'm coming to pit road before the end of the stage. Work a little strategy. I know it's only one position, but you don't want to get casual with this and give up strategy. We saw A.J. Allmendinger with one of the dominant cars at the Xfinity Indy road course, and he didn't do that. He stayed on the track, other cars pitted, and that ended up costing him the chance to win. He could just never catch Cindric as the race wound down.
And Steve, the reason for pitting under green before the end of the stage, because you're only going to have to pit one more time?
Well, yeah, it's just like pitting at the end of the stage, except for you don't lose a lap here. So what you do is you come on pit road under green, service your car, go back on the racetrack. 2 laps later, the caution comes out. The rest of the field comes to pit road, and you just cycle to the front.
Hemrick the fastest on the racetrack the last lap by. The top 3 running within a tenth of each other, which is insane at a road course. That's the difference in lap times you see from 1st to 10th or 1st to 5th at a short track. We got a lot of cars coming to pit road, trying to take advantage of getting on the pit road before the end of the stage break.
So now all of these cars that are on pit road currently, there's 5 of them. If you don't pit this next time by, you're going to restart behind them. So that's kind of your issue, is you know you're going to start behind cars. Now Justin Haley, who we're on board with, he needs points, but Sam Mayer, the 8, is on pit road, Dave.
Yep, and he's here to win today, so they'll go ahead and flip this stage. Sam Mayer, the young man from Wisconsin, who is learning the Xfinity ropes this year, had some Trans Am practice here earlier in the year, said, I learned that 3 wide here and a very slippery racing surface is the norm for the Roval.
Let's see.
In front, opposite of the 18.
There you go, opposite of the 18. So if the 18 chooses to pit, the 22 will stay out and win that stage. If the 18 stays on the racetrack, the 22 will come to pit road. So right here, we're going to see a split decision. The 18 gets to decide first, so as they come out of the banking of turn 4, the 18 looks to me like he's staying on the racetrack, so the 22 is going to come to pit road. Yep, heavy braking on the 22. Left-hand turn, he'll come to pit road, give up stage points, try to work that strategy to win the race. Now, for the rest of the field, the 18, as he crosses the start-finish line, has now closed pit road. So no one else has this opportunity, Marty.
I'm shocked more cars have not taken advantage of coming to pit road here, but here comes Austin Cindric down to his pit stall. And the thought was they were going to go for the stage points here in stage 1, trying to get that playoff point and then flip stage 2. But you heard the radio conversation a moment ago. Do the opposite of the 18. Daniel Hemrick stays on the track. Austin Cindric coming down pit road here. So, again, giving up the playoff points here, but they'll have the advantage once stage 2 starts.
Yeah, I think Marty said it the best. I understand the playoff guys that are racing for points, but there's 15 or 20 other cars that were within the window of time to the leader that came to get to could have come to pit road and just chose not to. I think that's a missed opportunity by a lot of these teams to try to get a little track position.
The two cars obviously staying on the track to get the stage points. Harrison Burton, Jeb Burton, there you see him. Oh, a little contact right there between some cars trying to finish this lap up. That car right there, the 15's got a broken track bar. He's gonna have his hands full trying to get that car back to the pits. Look at that.
Chris Wright is all over the place in that 15 right now.
Yeah, when a track bar breaks, the rear end is not controlled left to right.
Got tire rub.
There you see the track bar dragging the ground.
And then, yeah, you see right there contact. Then the next score, the 22, was going to try to make a pass there. It looked like he locked up a front tire.
He was right off pit road, the 22.
There's Chris Wright again, the 27-year-old from Wexford, Pennsylvania. And he's going to have to make his way on. Yeah, definitely something broke onto pit road here if he can get all the way back around.
There's Jeb Burton and Harrison in the 20 car right in front as they try to run this final lap. The caution is out.
Caution comes out with 1 to go in the stage. And we're seeing that 15 once again. Chris Wright not able to stay up to speed, rolling around the racetrack.
You see the bar hanging down. That's the track bar Dale Jr. mentioned. The left side has become disconnected, either broken or fallen off.
Yeah, we got a track bar hanging, some brake cooling, some hose hanging down. There's all kinds of issues going on in the back of that car.
And this will give Daniel Hemrick the...
He'll get the win for the stage.
And then the Burton and Burton battle that we pointed out, they're nose to tail. So unfortunately for Jeb, he actually loses 1 more point to Harrison.
See Harrison Burton shutting the car off, saving a little fuel.
See that? Those notes. Top left corner of that of his windshield.
Yeah.
That's just some notes for his pit road information, where he is on pit road.
Jeb Burton.
Some plays.
Jeb would have loved to have had a couple more opportunities and a few braking zones to finish out that last lap. Let's listen to some 10 radio.
I don't know. Doing all can.
All right, buddy. 10-4. It's 20 laps in. We haven't even had a chance to work on it, and I can already tell the frustration in your voice. So you're going to have to settle in, calm down. We still got 48 laps to go, so give us a chance here.
And you listen to the driver getting some coaching. Just try to keep your head in this game. It's easy to do. You get frustrated behind. The car is frustrating you with every corner you take. It's not doing everything you want it to do. That frustration builds corner after corner, lap after lap, and it's great to have somebody on the radio trying to keep your head in the game.
8-stage win for Daniel Hemrick as he crosses the start-finish line with the green and white checkered flag waving. The first stage of the elimination race completes, and the Battle of Burtons goes to Harrison for stage 1.
Toyota has won stage number 1 here on the Roval for the Xfinity Series on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Charlotte. And you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network. That was the voice of Mark Garrow from PRN. They'll go to a break for a moment or so, then we'll get back up onto our PA system. Live machine of Matt Mills on pit lane. Mills used to compete in Ohio at 250 Speedway back in the day, and all around eastern Ohio. Now, Xfinity Series driver. And while he's on pit lane, let's go down to pit road. Monica, what's up?
Lenny, I actually found a secret spot right here, front porch bar. You're probably wondering, where is this place? It's at turn 1. And guess what, guys? It is free. You can come here, get a whole different sight track here, turn one. Front porch bar, come on down. Look at this, Dixie vodka. They have all different kind of flavors. Right here, Tony's tea. Yeah, baby. It just came out. Whether on a boat, at the track, or just hanging out on the porch, we're bringing the flavors of the South to a cooler near you. How about to a track near you?
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Visit GoCreditOne.com. Ford, built Ford proud. And by Blue EMU Microfoam, the official pain relief foam of NASCAR. Soft on skin, strong on pain.
Decision time for the leaders again. Pits are open now. Conceivably, people could stay on the racetrack and do this entire race in one stop, but you know the tires will slow down a little over a second, so you think that would be pretty much a challenge for the leaders. Let's see there. It looks to me that they are all coming to pit road. Dave.
And you see at the top of your screen the leader, Daniel Hemrick. He does decide to pit. Turns 4 and turn 8 are where he wants the crew chief to call for a chassis adjustment. He'll change 4 Goodyear tires, add Sunoco fuel to this race car. In the middle, A.J. Allmendinger said lateral is coming to me, but it's shattering the rears a bit. So they're going to make an air pressure adjustment here for A.J. Marty?
No, Gregson said he needs more front turn everywhere, Dave. And Junior mentioned that right front damage. You can see it there on the bottom of your screen. Dave Ellens, veteran crew chief, making the call. Hey, we're not going to fix that damage right here because we need to keep track position. We need stage points here in stage 2. Gregson will leave pit road, gaining 1 spot. Hemrick holds on to the lead.
You see Brandon Jones grabbed 3 spots on pit road, and Allmendinger loses 2 positions.
Daniel Hemrick will lead them off of pit road, 4 tire change and Sunoco fuel. Noah Gregson up 1. He is the second off the pit lane. Brandon Jones, great pit stop. They gain 3 spots. A.J. Allmendinger, however, loses 2. He's back to the 4th spot. Again, this as they came off the pit lane. And it was Justin Haley, Ty Gibb, Jeb Burton, Harrison Burton, Sage Karam, and Maya Snyder. Need to know, however, as they all dived on the pit road, all by his lonesome. Austin Cindric pulled up back to the 2021.
We want to draw your attention up to the Speedway TV so we can tell you about NFT. Race Day NFT, check it out. That's the QR code that you can see there right now for your free NFT.
You're watching NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs from Charlotte. This telecast presented by Blue EMU. Pace car making its way onto pit road. Field back in the hands of the 22 of Austin Cindric. Sam Mayer will be on the outside for this restart. Mike Lynette has worked his way up through pit strategy. He starts on the inside of row 2. Smoke out of the tires for the 61 of Austin Hill. And Daniel Hemrick already up to third. Noah Gregson damage to the right front of the number 9. They chose not to fix that, wanted to make sure they had track position. They want to be in position so that they can gain stage points at the end of stage 2.
I think the damage is definitely hurting the 9 car, but I do like the call. You know, I mean, get back there in traffic, you could easily get more damage. So I know it's not optimal, but keep them up front and have a chance of having a nice solid run in this second stage.
Marty.
Yeah, Rick, after further review, that damage on the right front of the 9 is maybe a little more significant than we thought. But, Steve, I'd love to get your take on it. Look at that seam right there where the hood is. And, look, you can actually see a giant hole in the right front as well. So Dave Ellens, veteran crew chief, made that decision. Hey, let's not fix it here. Let's keep that track position. But he plans to fix it at the end of stage 2. They thought the points available in the stage too valuable to take the time to fix it now. You agree?
Well, I definitely wouldn't have fixed it now because it finished stage 1 without an issue. And as fast as the 9 is currently, I'm not sure I would take time to fix it at the end of stage 2. I would just assess how this second stage goes. If the car has speed, which is looking really good as it attacks the rear bumper, the 18 of Daniel Hemrick in front of him, maybe don't even take the time then. I'm sure Dave Ellens will reassess after seeing how competitive he is.
And knowing Noah Gregson, this is probably how he prefers his car to look.
Yeah.
It's probably making him go after these guys with a little more tenacity. Couple battle scars on that number 9 car. Doesn't mind him.
A little more pizzazz, right? A little more flash.
Likes to be the showman.
Really aggressive on that restart. We'll see over the time if the pace in that car is able to stay there. If not, maybe they do make some adjustments. Tape up a few holes, actually. Probably the minimum work they'll be able to do.
And that's usually where the downforce shows up, Junior, to your point, right? You can kind of mask it with brand new tires, but as you get 15 laps on the tires, if the front end stops working, that would be a telltale sign that it is a downforce issue.
How difficult is it when they're on the oval like this at speed? Is it going to do more damage to the body?
Nah, these composite bodies are pretty good. I don't think it would tear apart more if that's what you're asking. My bigger concern is just make sure he knows it's damaged. So if you're going to hit somebody, try not to do it with the right front fender. Oh, a slide right there, man.
Close one for Stephen Parsons in the 78.
Spoke to Stephen Parsons this morning, and he said he never raced here. You know, he ran a few laps here, substituted for somebody a few years ago, but just almost no experience on the road courses. Looking forward to this opportunity.
He's another one who, like Hemrick, has ran hundreds and hundreds of laps in Legends cars on the little quarter mile in the front stretch, but has not had a stock car here on the Roval before. We see that damage on the 9. Again, Noah Gregson holding on to the 4th spot, still chasing after Cindric and Mayer. Hemrick running 3rd. Allmendinger is 5th after losing some spots on pit road. Haley. Preston Pardus is running up in the top 7 right now. Preston, son of Dan Pardus, and a very established Miata series driver now.
Great shot right here, the foot cam.
Look how big that brake pedal is. He pumps the brake pedal to bring up the pressure to give him maximum braking performance into the braking zone.
He leaves that rear chicane now onto the high banks. Just simple upshifts.
As you build heat in the brakes, if you don't do that little pump action, you have a little bit longer pedal, meaning the pedal engages or the brakes engage deeper into the throw of the pedal. And that as that's moving around, it's difficult to know how to use the brakes. So you pump them up for every deep braking zone so that the brakes are the same. They're identical every time you go to apply them.
When you guys get in your street cars, do you use your left foot to brake or your right foot to brake?
I drive this way in a race car, but on the street, I brake with my right foot. I don't know why, but I can't do the opposite, right? I can't just right foot brake in a race car.
You paid attention during driving school. I did not. I left foot brake.
After you fail once, you have to pay attention.
I grew up racing go-karts, and there was no way, you know, to use your right foot on the brake because the steering column's right there. So I grew up racing go-karts, and I always left foot brake.
Here comes Allmendinger in that 16 to the inside of the 9 of Noah Gregson.
To move up.
Yeah, I would say a pretty simple pass.
And we heard earlier on the radio for Allmendinger, just keep the car clean. No dents, no problems with it. You're going to move forward.
And that's the same thing for Haley behind the 9 car there. Haley was, he was in jeopardy coming into this race. And every little point that he gets in these first 2 stages definitely makes him much more comfortable. He can take a few more risks with the race car in that 3rd and final stage.
Yeah, if you look at the points in the lower left corner, again, really the 2 that are fighting out for that last spot in the 8 are Harrison Burton and Jeb Burton.
Right, Rick, and just to continue on that story, by the way, I left foot brake in a race car and right foot brake in a road car. Not sure why I do that either, but hey, for Jeb Burton here, he has been lockstep with Harrison Burton, racing each other so closely. They finished 1 spot apart in stage 1. Take a listen to his team as he's racing through all these different cars and the inflections in their voice.
Driving left side, driving right side, driving right side. Just watch this idiot. He's overdriving his entry, any hole you give him. Driving back left side, left side. Barely, still barely, still barely, still there, still there, still there, still there. We're chasing you around. Just be smart. He's already done. Don't let him ruin your day. Be smart.
And that has been the theme of the day on the radio for Jeb Burton. Just be smart, race the racetrack. But I think that spotting almost sounded a little bit like a super speedway form of spotting, Dave.
Oh, that was awesome. Tyler Green would be the spotter in Harrison Burton's ear today. And the conversation back and forth has been about how Harrison's car was not working well in either direction, and so he was told by crew chief Dave Rogers that they would work on the right-hand turns on that pit stop. They made an air pressure adjustment and did not lose any spots on pit road. That was key. The biggest key is that he got stage points that first round, 3 to be exact for Burton.
And where they're running on the track, 7 points separate them for that final spot. As we go NASCAR nonstop, you won't miss a thing. You're watching the drive for the Cure 250 from the Charlotte Roval, and that's Josh Bilicki. We talked about the flight canceled from Chicago last night, drove all the way through the night to get here, and missed the back chicane by just a little bit, and that's the damage that it's done to the front of that car.
Well, he's talking on the radio like perhaps he has no brakes. You see the speed that he's coming in there, so he turns left to avoid the cars in front of him, and my goodness. Jeff, you and I are awful at evaluating because we were out there earlier and said, we didn't think those curbs would do quite that much damage.
I mean, it's like the splitter went underneath the curb, and when it did, it just ripped the curb off the racetrack and then ripped the front end off the race car.
Yeah, I'm having Indy road course flashbacks watching that happen.
Yeah, to your point, the curb itself went with him.
Yes.
He picked up the entire curb.
So the tracks, what do they do? Do they fix that or just?
It was bolted down prior to that car coming through.
Oh, this would be a great shot.
Yeah, so see how low the car is, and right there, it just digs underneath the splitter and just digs underneath the curb and just destroys the car.
So I think he was out of brakes. I mean, he passed 2 cars getting in there. Josh Bilicki's an experienced driver, so I want to believe he had a mechanical issue that forced him to abort left. Let's listen in.
Did we hit somebody? Is that what happened to the splitter, or did we jump over the curb?
Yeah, instead of collecting the 2 cars ahead of me, I jumped the curb.
Yeah, so he made a decision.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to get slowed down. He didn't want to run through the cars in front of him, and I mean, obviously he had no idea that was going to happen. Steve, you said it. We were out there, you know, in the pace car earlier, and we looked at those curbs, and we were like, they're not that bad. They'll be okay, not like Indy.
Brakes just went to the floor, and that was that.
Oh, there you go. Brakes went to the floor. That was it. So, Jeff, I'm laughing because you literally said that. You drove, you looked left, and you said, well, that's nothing like Indy. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Jeff. That'd be no problem. You see the bolts that are left, Rick.
And I talked about it earlier. The drivers pump the brakes as they drive around this track up to the braking zones. And you continue to pump those brakes because that temperature builds in the fluid and the brake pedal gets longer and longer. And eventually, at some point, you go in some of these cars without great cooling or a brake fade or a brake issue, you go into that braking zone and start pumping it, and the brake never comes up. The brake pedal never gets stronger, and you continue to pump that pedal, and it goes right to the floor, and then you're into the corner. That's what happened to the 7 car.
And you see what they've got to do. They've got to cut these bolts out, because if a car ran over that, it would just flatten the tires. I got to tell you guys, I don't even know why those curves are there. I mean, honestly, there's a rule. If you go, you know, if you're on the wrong side of the curves, there's a penalty. I'm not even sure why we put these penalty curbs in there just to destroy the racetrack and also disrupt the race. I think it's something we need to look at. I don't know the advantage of having those curbs there.
And Steve, I think we both saw right away the DeWalt tools came out here. That's what they see in the billboard or the wall when they go into turn number 1. But what a ride for Josh Bilicki as he goes right through. Under the fourth caution for the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs from Charlotte. Telecast presented by Blue Emu. And they are working on the bolts that were holding down that curbing that was on the inside of the racetrack even before you got to that backstretch chicane. And so they're now cutting away the exposed bolts. And a lot of that will continue here. A lot of bolts that were holding that down. Well, start your Tundra. NASCAR fans, you could be one of the first to drive off in the all-new 2022 Toyota Tundra. All you have to do, visit NASCAR.com/startyourtundra, and you enter now. Pretty cool to be the first to be driving that 2022 Tundra. So the track crew is going to go to work here. A red flag condition, so they've stopped the cars on the racetrack.
And I mentioned the flashbacks I was having to Indy. Take a look at some of the problems that we had with curbs. Very similar. Curbs on the racetrack where they probably don't belong. These were actually in the racing groove.
So right here was a ramp just put there to try to keep drivers on the right side of the racetrack. Again, like there's a penalty if you're on the wrong side of the curbs. And
so the repeated damage to the issue we had in Indy cropped up in a big way during the Cup race the following day. So this will be something for NASCAR, the track, to look at. Do we really need those curbs there at all? I'm sure drivers are already sending in text messages to people in the industry to maybe remove those entirely because they're really not necessary, guys.
I agree. I think that, you know, we can learn from this, right, and make a decision and just say, hey, get these things out of the way. It's no need to have a double penalty.
Josh Bilicki took care of those. He got those out of the way. The fans around here have so many different areas to watch the race from, and Rutledge Wood, I think you have found one of the best spots near the crossover bridge.
Oh, I sure have, Rick, and it's so great to see the fans back at the tracks. You know, I mean, just food for thought on the other side of this argument. My dad taught me when I was learning how to drive, the most important rule is don't hit anything. So just a little perspective there, you could miss them entirely. But, you know, if a lot of the fans are at home thinking, how do I drive around this amazing track? Because you can see, especially from above, how much room there is here at the Roval. These fans, I know, would love to. There's a lot of different ways you can actually race your own car on the track. You could go through one of the track days like Jay Zilla does. You could do one of the racing schools. There's even a Ford Performance Racing School where Dan McKeever, who is the son of legendary road racer Danny McKeever, can teach you the fastest way around this track. And, guys, I'm assuming that when Dan teaches you, he would also tell you to stay off the curb. So a lot of different ways to get out here, a lot of great racing schools. Go do one of those track days because this track is amazing. You guys saw this morning when you got to go out there. I've been lucky enough to take a car around the Roval before. There is nothing else like it, and you really can't get that feeling for how big the elevation changes are and how close those walls are until you're out on the track.
Uh-oh. When the cars stop, the young man fell asleep. And so they'll fire the engines back up as soon as they get the cleanup done on the back stretch, and he'll wake right back up. Are you ready to win $25,000? Well, the free-to-play Jackpot Races app is here to make that happen. With expert analysis, live in-race tracking of your picks, your racing experience will hit the jackpot. You can go to Apple Store or Google Play, download the Jackpot Races app today. And so the car's rolling once again. Under a yellow flag condition now. And Steve, will we see guys on pit road here?
I don't expect to see many of the leaders. There might be a few that gamble, try to do something different, get off strategy. We talked earlier about how do you battle somebody in points. Well, if you don't think you can beat them on the racetrack, maybe you do something different. The 9-0 Gregson looked like they considered it, stayed on the racetrack. So all of our playoff cars are going to stick to the plan. Well, almost all. What is that? The 92 monster cars. So I got to confirm the car number first. 98 of Riley Herbst on pit road, Parker.
Right, and it was a very late call. Richard Boswell told Riley just be prepared for a late call here for the 98, which came into this race in a must-win position to get to the next round of playoffs. Really struggling with rear grip as you see that large adjustment in the rear. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires of Sunoco fuel. Riley Herbst seeing if they can pull some alternate strategy here to get victory late later, Dave.
There's a one-car Michael Annett on pit road. It was not known that he was going to be in this race car until about the middle of the week. Remember, he's recovering from surgery on a broken leg and has not been in this car much. But he came to it late, decided he was going to race it today, see how it is today, and if he wants to, the team said he will be staying in the one for the rest of the year. They said it's kind of a week-to-week thing. Good to have Michael back behind the wheel, as he's already announced he's going to step away from full-time Xfinity Series racing at the end of this season.
Yeah, the 35-year-old won the Daytona race back in 2019, but has had some health issues, and so announced earlier that he would step away from full-time racing. So this is kind of the going away tour for Michael Annett. Didn't make the playoffs this year, but has had some strong runs in the one car for Junior Motorsports. Dave.
Back down to the 16 situation with A.J. Allmendinger having some interesting things happen mechanically. Listen.
Chris, we might actually have an issue here, man. My gearbox is real sticky now. Like, I struggled last chicane to get into second. It's feeling really sticky. Like, it's really hard to shift.
They're going to keep an eye on that, but the 16 driver, having won both of his starts here, the last 2 Roval races, may be in a bit of a sticky situation.
Sticky. Interesting. Let's see if we can bring in our veterans from the Ruoff Mortgage Peacock pit box. And KP, DJ, sticky transmission, guys.
Sticky transmissions aren't good. I can tell that. But you know what? Watching this thing so far, I think Hemrick's represented himself well.
Yeah.
And I look at AJ. AJ's just lurking. He may be in a sticky situation. But I wish I could imitate Harry Carey, because the curbs have scored again. The curbs have scored again here. I'm telling you, man, this is fascinating.
It is fascinating. I have to say, I'm surprised Justin Allgaier making the mistake of a veteran right there. And I'm wondering about the 22. Is he good enough? Or is he having brake bias problems? And Rick, I'm going to tell you what, with what we just saw that created this caution, I think we make it on our list of that, stuff that has happened in 2021 that maybe makes us shake our heads.
It's definitely things that we have seen already this year that we definitely question over and over. Did that really just happen? The airborne cars at Indianapolis now going through the curbing here at Charlotte. We're back underway. There are 8 laps to go in stage 2.
Sam Mayer spins his tires really badly on that restart. Little contact between him and A.J. Allmendinger. A.J. trying not to lose too many positions here on this restart. He was in the 2nd row, and he's fallen back to the middle of the field there, losing several spots into 9th place.
Cindric clearing Hemrick, and so Hemrick settles into 2nd. Just behind them, Justin Haley in the 11.
Down into turn 5, 3 wide right here. AJ just cleared the 31 and the 9. Drivers having to be really patient right there. A lot of give and take. You might not see that much give and take later in this race. We're almost halfway, coming to the end of stage 2. Intensity going to start picking up here.
The Burtons, it's Harrison Burton and Jeb Burton. Once again, on the racetrack, they're separated by just 1 spot. Harrison Burton running 13th, Jeb Burton running 14th.
It's a great shot right here. You can see how tight this rear chicane is. It's really easy to spin the rear tires right there. driving up into the banking.
And Jeff, earlier on the radio, we heard crew chief talking to Jeb Burton and saying, you know, you got to calm down. This is early in this race. But you also have to think about the situation Jeb Burton is in. He thinks his career is on the line with every race he runs because he doesn't have anything on the schedule for next year. So every turn, every position, every possibility of moving along in the playoffs is very important to him.
Well, it is.
Oh, Jeb's in the wall. Jeb running wide on the outside of the 20 car through turns 2 and 3. Gets into a little bit of dirty racetrack.
Gotta race the racetrack, man. Gotta race the racetrack. Clear all around.
How much damage does he have? He was on the outside of Harrison trying to take that spot. How important that one position could be.
And this racetrack, they've got a hard tire that they run on. Doesn't offer a lot of grip in the infield part of the racetrack. And this track, for whatever reason, gets dirtier offline than most road courses. The longer we run this race, the more marbles and dirt builds up just outside the driving groove. Here, Jeb tries to go the outside of the 20, loses all the grip. Into the fence he goes.
That looked like a pretty hard hit, Steve.
It did. Non-soft wall concrete barrier there. And
it's all good right now.
really flat. So the concern is, while the sheet metal, I think, is fine, you look at both right side tires, it looks like the wheels have, you know, that white paint. That is hard contact on both the front and rear suspension, Parker.
And Jeb came on the radio and said the wheel is straight, so they did not knock out the toe. That means, so he should be all right there, and has not reported any other damage inside the 10 right now. So he may have gotten away with this one after that hard hit.
Well, the steering wheel is straight. That's the biggest indicator, you know, that nothing in the front suspension is bent too awful bad. So, yeah, maybe not enough damage to hurt the car.
That was about probably 10 to 15 feet ahead of where we saw Justin Allgaier hit the wall earlier too. That's just out of turn 2.
Even though he may have gotten away with one, in his mind, he knows that he hit the wall, and he knows that there's potential for that toe to be knocked out just a little bit. And the confidence, I guess, in the car's ability goes even further down. It's a mind game where he could be beaten here. Marty.
Hey, Junior, 6 to go here in stage 2. Myatt Snyder restarted 10th here in this last restart and has made his way up to 7th. He and A.J. Allmendinger a moment ago were battling for the 6th spot, but a nice recovery for this team. He was way too free in stage 1. They've made significant adjustments to the car. The car has come to life. But Steve, looking at that, 6 to go here in stage 2. Do you flip the stage? You know the winners. If you're going to win this race, you need to pit before the stage ends.
Yeah, I would expect it. You see Cindric, the leader. I know there's a playoff point, but I believe you're going to have to race for the stage win. I actually think Hemrick, Gibbs, Haley, even the guys in the playoffs, if you're 30 or 40 points above the cut line this late in the race, I am racing for a race win. So I expect pit road to get very, very busy with 3 to go in this stage.
And we won't miss a thing as we will go NASCAR nonstop. caution is out, and Austin Cindric on pit road. Dave.
And trying to avoid contact on pit road, much as he's done all day on the Roval. He recently reported to the team that the transmission was okay. They wanted to pit here before the end of the stage, Marty.
Well, Dave, Steve predicted it a moment ago. There you see a lot of the leaders, including Austin Cindric, who was up front that entire stage 2, giving up the stage points here to get the track position. So when it flips around and the teams that stayed out right now pit, all these guys who pitted right now will be up front for the start of the final stage of the race.
And Steve, don't have to come back to pit road.
No, they can make it all the way. 31 laps to go in the race. Everyone who pitted right here can make it to the finish on fuel. The debris, the 0-2 of Brett Moffitt, he went to the garage earlier with some damage. You see right there the entire front brake duct. Big carbon box with some fans attached. Tumbles out onto the racetrack.
There's Brett Moffitt in the 0-2. Brett's champion in the Truck Series, and had gone back and forth as far as where he was going to run for points. You have to designate one series that you officially run for points in. Moffitt didn't designate that he was going to run Xfinity Series for the championship until later after the start of the season, so not a part of the playoffs this year. Parker.
Well, Steve, you mentioned how most of the cars that pitted here should be good on fuel. For 54 of Ty Gibbs, the team immediately came on the radio and asked him to start saving fuel, because they told me at a lap 31 to go, this is right on the money for them to be able to make it to the end. So obviously trying to save some fuel just in case we get some of that overtime as well. So these teams may be good to end at 31 laps, but if we start to go over that, it could get tight.
It's a great point, Parker. You know, you have to prepare for more than just the advertised distance anymore on top of the pit box.
Yeah, some interesting decisions here, Steve. Who decided to pit and who didn't. Daniel Hemrick is in really good shape with points. You know, kind of put himself in a bad spot here as far as trying to win the race, in my opinion. Maybe not, we'll see. He stayed out. I can understand Haley, he's not that great in points. Snyder confuses me. Seems like he needs to win this race. Noah needs a few stage points. So some interesting decisions. Marty.
Jeff, I think the biggest reason Noah Gragson didn't pit there is that Dave Ellens wants to take all the time he needs, because remember, they have that right front damage. So coming down here, they felt like they needed to have a little bit longer to pit. So that's why they're going to wait until the end of the stage to pit for Noah Gragson in the 9.
And the bubble battle is still very tight between Harrison Burton and Jeb Burton, 13 points. Those guys just out of frame to the right, stayed out on the racetrack. There you see Harrison, Jeb. They're going to be very aggressive. Jeb especially, I expect to be very aggressive in these last few laps.
We saw how that aggressive driving put him into the wall coming through turn 2 a little bit earlier. Getting ready for the restart. It will be 3 laps to go in stage 2. Hemrick, Haley, Snyder, Gregson, Clements, Brandon Jones, Harrison Burton, Josh Williams, Jeb Burton.
Jeb went to the inside to try to make it 3 wide. Harrison through the block.
Into turn 3, Hemrick has cleared 11 of Haley, as well as Myatt Snyder in the 2. And smoke coming from the right front of Myatt Snyder as he exits turn 4.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was wheel lockup or a rub.
Up into turn 6. Gragson, Clements, Jones, and then the Burton boys.
See Sam there, that white number 8 off the pit road with fresh tires, trying to get through these guys. Ty Gibbs right behind him. Ty Gibbs. These two have had big battles against each other in the ARCA series. Look at Ty Gibbs. Is he going to try to go under him? Made the move.
78 off the racetrack.
Yeah, that was Stephen Parsons on the bottom of the screen there. We saw a lot of smoke. And now to the outside, Austin Cindric with those fresher tires. He and AJ Allmendinger battling it out.
Well, to your point, Jeff, that pass from Ty Gibbs over Sam Mayer now has Ty Gibbs as the leading driver with fresh tires. So at the cycle of the stage, that'll give him some track position up front. Hemrick continues to lead over Haley by about a half a second.
Yeah, these restarts have been huge. They got in front of the 22 of Cindric in those restarts. Here's Allmendinger trying to work himself through them.
Austin Hill in the 61 just in front of Allmendinger and almost contact there. Now Allmendinger moves to the inside. He'll try to get by Austin Hill here. Riley Herbst in the 98 follows as well. That's how close it is up front. Hemrick and Haley.
Haley did a nice job through the infield, closing the 10-car lengths down to 2. Unfortunately, lost a little momentum out of turn 8, coming into one of the last 2 passing zones here on this lap. He's going down the backstretch. It's tough to pull out from that far back.
And just behind these guys, Jeff Burton in 8th place has company behind him. He's losing 1 spot to the 54 car of Gibbs, and Sam Mayer close behind Jeb. That's going to move Jeb outside the top 10 and out of stage points. The next car for them to pass would be Harrison Burton as well.
Yeah, but coming to frame right here, you're going to see them all stacked up. Everybody battling for these points.
There's Jeb with Sam Mayer just behind him. Jeb in the 10, Mayer in the 8. And now the final lap of stage 2.
And these two right here are not just racing for points, but remember, a 1 playoff point bonus that you'll carry into the next round. We have seen rounds tie, so 1 point could be all the difference.
And a hard battle to see who wins the stage. Haley not giving Hemrick an inch. As a matter of fact, closing the gap now. Is he close enough this time when they come out onto the oval?
Keep up the pressure here. Make him overdrive his corner, then you beat him on exit. You're really good about that on the front stretch side. Beat him to the line.
Showing him the nose. Not sure he's close enough to pull out and pass him, but make sure he knew he was there. We'll see if he can carry the momentum right here out of the backstretch chicane onto the front stretch. The 18 of Hemrick with good acceleration.
3 car lengths now over Haley as he comes into the final chicane. And Hemrick looking to sweep the stages at Charlotte this year. He won the first 2 stages in May on the oval. And now, after winning stage 1, can he hang on? He wins stage 2 as well.
This battle right here between Harrison Burton and Ty Gibbs. Oh, contact between the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. One trying to make the playoffs.
Harrison Burton got into the wall there as Ty Gibbs was fighting for the spot coming out of that chicane.
Ty has to know what kind of situation that Harrison is in as far as trying to get through the next round of the playoffs. Maybe give that driver a little bit of a break.
I agree with you, Dale. I mean, we're talking the last corner in the stage. Stage points don't mean much to the 54, and here he is. Big contact with the 20, damage to the left rear quarter panel, pushes him up into the wall. I think that's an area where the young driver in the 54 just has to take a little bit of a breath. The 20 is going to come to pit road. I mean, there's no reason to push that pass.
Still tight to the door.
Yeah, they're definitely on 2 different strategies where the 54 is going to stay on track. 20's got to come to pit road. So that really was a positional battle that wasn't really that necessary, but we've seen Ty Gibbs race everyone the same. It doesn't really matter who you are, what car you're in. He's an aggressive race car driver. I'm kind of surprised by just how aggressive he is sometimes. I like it. Let's listen to some audio.
Screwed himself 3 times in 1 lap. We're going to be the leader here. You're saving fuel. That's what you're worried about under these caution flag laps, saving fuel.
He's talking about having some trouble with the 20 car several times throughout the lap, but you got to understand this 20 needs every single point. You got to, you have to imagine they had these conversations this week about what everybody's agenda was going in, in these meetings together.
Well, and he's not racing the 20. The 20's come to pit road. I think his team perhaps could have maybe given him that information. Hey, you're racing Sam Mayer behind you. He's the only one in your strategy. Everyone in front of you, because not only was that a risk for the 20, it was a risk for Ty. What if he knocks his own fender in, cuts a tire? This is his chance to win this race. If that aggression that hurt the 20, if it would have smashed his own fender in, that's only going to hurt the 54's effort as well.
And Steve, I have to ask, is that a Chris Gale situation where Chris Gale, the leader of this team, the crew chief, should he be telling his young driver, all right, we got to put everything in perspective here?
Well, I think Chris Gale obviously is going to have the calmer of the 2 heads between driver and crew chief because he has the ability to sit on the pit box and see the entire picture. So I don't know all the radio communication that was made, but yes, I think the crew chief needs to explain, especially to young race car drivers, which is what most of this field is made up of, what the situation is as we see the leaders come to pit road. Parker.
It's been a great start here for Justin Haley. The whole point of the day was to score stage points. Got 15 of those after stage 2. This will be 4 Goodyear tires. I'm very happy with the handling of that car right now, Dave.
Winner of both stages, center your screen, Daniel Hemrick. He will get 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. A little entry sensitive was all he said about the handling of his car, Marty.
Boy, what a good stage for Myatt Snyder. 8 stage points in the bank for the 2 car. He said, I need a little more forward drive off the corner. It just fell off so hard at the end of the run. That's Tyler Reddick's Cup Pit crew going to work on the tax layer machine. And right behind him, Noah Gregson. Now they go to work on that right front damage. Dave Ellens has come down to the pit box or to the ground level to kind of supervise what's going on. That big hole they're going to try and get fixed. They've had a patch they've worked up for about 10 or 15 minutes. There you see him putting it on the right front, cleaning it up now, but that's a big hole they have to fill here on the front end of the 9.
Just remember, Rick, per rules, you can't add bodywork. So the only thing they can do to fill that hole is to use some different bare bonds, some duct tape, try to patch it the best they can. It's like we talked, I think the 9 maybe would have ignored the damage if they thought they had speed to go win that stage, but they definitely didn't as the tires got old. So now with 27 laps, 26 laps left in the race, a lot of stage points in the bank, why not? Fix your car, see if you can go ahead and make it at least a winning car.
A tight battle going on here in the Xfinity Series for the Cut race. Well, tomorrow, the Cup Series in the same scenario, except 9 drivers are separated by 22 points. And again, we will determine who advances to the round of 8. And of course, Bubba Wallace, after winning an historic race a week ago at Talladega, he will be live on the Peacock Pit Box tomorrow. So we will hear from him and what the week has been like for Bubba Wallace. Rutledge.
Rick, I thought I'd come get a closer look out here at these curbs that we saw the car hit earlier. Now, the fascinating thing is, looks like the curb is in the highest part, maybe about 3 inches high, whereas you can see those turtles is the blue strip there we keep talking about. Those are a lot higher, closer to 5.5, 6 inches in the middle there. But I guess it's all about risk versus reward when you look at the lines and where you can go for these guys. But Burton, I feel like you okay with the turtles, not a fan of the curbs. Is that correct, what I've taken away from this?
I don't like the yellow and black curbs. I don't like those. I think it's just an extra penalty for no reason. You see right there, it just completely destroyed the car and also brought us under a red flag situation. He would have been penalized because he was on the wrong side of the curbs. Would have had a penalty anyway without having to tear his car completely up. And he had a mechanical issue. Like, he didn't drive down there because he wanted to be there. He got there because he didn't have brakes and got put down there.
Now, as we see the field kind of doubled up, there goes Harrison Burton by on the 20. So it's important to point out, now all this pit strategy is kind of behind us. It is shaking this field up where this, in my mind, is pressure pack situation for Harrison. He came in just above the cut line, and now he's cycled back outside the top 20. He is going to be in a ton of traffic to get this stage started.
As we look at the Toyota driver updates, 2 drivers have clinched and will move on to the round of 8. One of those being Daniel Hemrick, after winning stage 1 and stage 2, has enough points that he's guaranteed a spot in the round of 8, as well as Justin Allgaier. He will advance to the round of 8 no matter where he finishes today's race.
I mentioned Harrison. Well, right next to him, like it's been all day long, his cousin Jeb back there at about row 10. We'll see if they can survive these first couple laps.
And definitely things heating up. 25 laps to go in the race. Sam Mayer in the 8, working to the inside of the 22, trying to take second away from Austin Cindric.
You see right there, the 8 of Mayer, the 16 of Allmendinger, 22 of Cindric, the 98 of Riley Herbst.
Oh, Sam, just a little bit wide right here. AJ doesn't want to drive to the inside because now he's offline to the outside in this corner and through this corner as well. Turn 8 and 9.
How about the 7 of Allgaier? I thought his day was over. He bouncing off the wall, no brakes, having all kinds of issues. And here he is battling for 6th place.
Yeah, he thought it was too. That's why you never give up. Dave, what you got on that 7 car?
And they told him before the end of the last stage, chipping away at it, and he kind of chuckled and said, yeah. And then he was told, these are the kind of days that make you a champion. He says, I'd much rather have champagne and confetti, but they all agreed that they can work their way forward in this 7. Worst thing is it's just a little off balance, but obviously still pretty quick.
Allgaier has had a very interesting day. You see the damage to the right rear of that. And when the playoffs start, Justin Allgaier's daughter, Harper, always designs a helmet for him. And once again, she designed this helmet. As we're seeing Maya Snyder on pit road.
A penalty from NASCAR, restart violation. You cannot change lanes before the start-finish line. NASCAR said the 2 of Maya Snyder did on that previous restart. Therefore, he had to do a pass-through, give up all of his track position. This was a driver that scored those points at the stage and got at least in the conversation. If someone else faltered, he had some points available. He can make it on points. This right here, though, is going to put him way behind.
He's done a great job on restarts. That aggressiveness has paid well for him. Just overstepped it there.
There is the message that's on the back of the helmet for Justin Allgaier. I love you, Daddy. Use every chance you get. Each time he gets into the car, his daughter always tells him, get every position and take chances, which he loves. His first fire suit was pink and purple. That's why you see the flames and the pink and purple on that helmet as well.
Looking at the back of this car, this is like a second chance in this race.
I love that. Remember when he wrecked, he said, and his crew chief Dave Ellens said, look, dude, you're a really good road racer. Like, put it behind you. Like, Dave, like, he's like, look, this day's not over. And he's proven to be right.
Just in front of him is the 31 of Sage Karam. That name you would normally hear in IndyCar, but has been able to ride for Jordan Anderson here in the 31.
Okay, we take a look at that restart. I mentioned Maya Snyder, so you can't change lanes. You have to follow the car in front of you. Here's Maya Snyder before the start-finish line. Everybody's going to try to make it 3 wide. Well, Maya pulls left, without a doubt, is to the inside of the 52 before the start-finish line. Now, whether he had driven up next to him or not, I don't believe matters. I think you have to stay in your lane, whether the left or the right-hand side. NASCAR feels he didn't and penalized the driver of the 2. So close. Another 50 feet, and I think it would be okay.
A.J. Allmendinger is all over the back of this 8-car of Sam Mayer. It's fun to watch A.J. try to find ways to get around this kid. Sam's got the speed, but he's also a little inexperienced, probably making a little mistake here and there, but not enough for A.J. to be able to make the pass. A.J. brakes a little bit earlier. Maybe trying to maximize speed on the corner exit or the exit of the chicane right here.
See, Allmendinger, he's really loose right there. He's trying to get the rear tires to hook up and just struggling.
And another trend as we see Gibbs and Mayer running 1 and 2 here. The start of this round of the playoffs, you would expect the top 12 drivers, the best in the Xfinity Series, that they would be the ones fighting for wins. Well, it started off Josh Berry won to start off the playoffs. He was not involved with the playoffs. And then a week ago, Brandon Brown gets his first ever win, also not a part of the playoffs. But yeah, non-playoff drivers running up front here at Charlotte again. Look at this wild ride here by Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Jeffrey's tried to get in the gas, keep the car straight, just could never bring it back underneath him. This battle continues. Allmendinger, lots of pressure. Sam Mayer.
Yellow stripes, the rookie, Sam Mayer, just in front of Allmendinger. We're going to go NASCAR nonstop. You won't miss a thing. Huge day tomorrow for the Cup Series. On countdown to green, it will be the car owners of the 23 after Bubba Wallace gets that big win. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin will be joined by today's show's Craig Melvin for an interview there. Can't wait to hear from those car owners and what it meant to see Bubba Wallace get that win a week ago. That will be tomorrow on Countdown to Green, as we see still Ty Gibbs trying to hold off, and he slides into the chicane. Will that give the opportunity to the 16? It does. A.J. Allmendinger goes by. Ty Gibbs has to come to a stop.
And Rick, he's been reporting brake issues in that 54 car. He came on the radio just a lap prior saying the brakes were pulsating. The team said let them cool down, but as you saw there, go in the braking zone, obviously continue those braking issues.
So the 54 had two options. He could either go through the chicane, stop on the front stretch, or come to a stop on the backstretch chicane. That's what the 54 chose to do. It's right here under braking driver's rear wheel hop. He has no option but to go to the inside of that curve, therefore missing the corner.
And let's talk about, Steve, what makes the brakes pulsate. So the rotors can get warped, and that way when you mash the brake pedal, it's pushing the pucks in and out of the caliper, and that will make the pedal go up and down while you're pressing it. What other things can make that brake pedal pulsate?
Yeah, overheating, as you mentioned, can warp the rotors, and also sometimes if they don't operate at the right temperature, if your right pad combination, you get it too hot and the pad actually gets sticky and puts material, and you know, as you can imagine, it's not running nice and smooth and clean. It gets kind of all patchy. Some of that can be brake balance, some car balance. Some can even be how the drivers use the brake. Let's listen into the 16 of Allmendinger.
No curbing, no nothing. Take care of your tires and take care of your shifter and everything. The only one that is even close to you is the 11 car. We'll keep you up to date on the 22. Take care of everything, brother. Big picture, big picture.
That's Chris Rice. Big picture, take care of everything. But I think it's very interesting. He mentioned shifter. Remember, A.J. Allmendinger earlier in the race. Hey, this shifter is feeling sticky. I had trouble getting it into second gear. That's obviously right on the mind of Chris Rice. That's why he specifically said that. So for A.J. Allmendinger, he has to be very abrupt with those up shifts and down shifts. One missed shift, even if the shifter is still working, can break an engine. Dave.
And what was interesting, Steve, was he was chasing down the 8 of Sam Mayer a little earlier. He was very frustrated with a couple of turn exits, like the car wasn't perfect or he wasn't able to hit them perfectly. So it'll be interesting to see if he's vulnerable or not. You heard the radio. They believe that his only true competitor will be the 11 of Justin Haley, but the 22 of Austin Cindric, yeah, and Sam Mayer maybe as well. He's got to watch out for them as well.
And this is a big tournament. Remember, A.J. Allmendinger had one of the best cars at the road course race for the Xfinity Series at Indianapolis. They chose to not pit before the stage, very conservative with their strategy. In the end, Cindric, who did pit before the stage, took the lead. They were never able to overcome it. Today, even with points on the line, the 16 car and A.J. Allmendinger pits before the stage at lap 36, stays on the strategy with Cindric, and for that reason, he's leading the race. Look at the left-hand side. Haley, he had to wait till lap 41. Jeff, you mentioned he wasn't as good in points. He had to get those stage points. I like the 16, learning from Indianapolis, being aggressive. Now they have the lead.
Yeah, I think sometimes, Steve, they trust A.J. Allmendinger so much because he's so fast. We got a problem?
Gibbs again in the back straightaway, having to come to a stop. More issues trying to get that car slowed down in that final chicane, or the chicane on the back straightaway. Was in fourth position, losing multiple spots.
Yeah, after leading to start the stage, now Ty Gibbs struggling with this 54.
And you see the rear wheels are locked up, the front tires are locked up.
Yeah, you know, you asked, what's the issue with the brakes? What can make them pulsate? It looks to me like either the fronts are overheated and not working, and that's why he's rear wheel hopping, or just the car, the balance has gone away, but it's definitely a rear braking issue for the 54.
So the only thing he can do as a driver, right? If you said you think it's the rear brakes, he can put front brake to it. He has an adjuster that can do that. But now what that does, it just puts more heat to the front. Right. It takes braking force away. So now the only thing you can do as a driver is slow your braking down. You can't drive in the corners deep. You got to give some speed up on corner entry, Dave.
Let's check on the Burton-Cousins battle. We'll start with Harrison Burton, the birthday boy. He was wondering about his points position in comparison to making it to the next round. This was just after the stage restarted.
Was wrong. The math was wrong. Only racing the 10 car. Only racing the 10 car. No worries on the 2. Only racing the 10 car on the math.
All good right here. Helping.
Remember, Myatt Snyder was a concern until he had that penalty coming down pit road, racing the 10, and right now Harrison Burton has that in hand by a couple of positions, Parker.
Right, Dave, and they came into this race 8 points apart, Jeb, behind Harrison, and now sit 14 points apart, and they've been almost locked bumper to bumper throughout this race, but in just the last couple laps, Harrison has started to stretch away from Jeb Burton there, and Jeb's been struggling with the rear grip inside that 10 car throughout the day. We saw him get into the wall off of turn 2. You see the car wiggling there, lacking that rear grip, just not able to get the rear in the racetrack, and slowly but surely watching that 20 get away, and maybe watching his playoff hopes slip away there as that 20 drives into distance.
There's Harrison Burton in that Dex Imaging number 20. He came in again above the cut line. It was going to be a battle, we knew, between the two. Harrison, son of Jeff, and Jeb, son of Ward Burton. And so those two drivers have come up together. Harrison, the younger of the two, just turning 21 today, and Jeb closing in on 30.
I think we see more yellows in this race to give Jeb an opportunity, his team an opportunity to try to get some more opportunities to change their strategy, come to pit road, get some tires, do some crazy things on some restarts, be more aggressive. And we've seen these races with those late yellows just go chaos ensues at these tracks.
Don't put yourself in a bad spot.
I want to check in on the Roval Mortgage Peacock pit box with KP and DJ as we're down to.
The 9's going to miss the chicane as well.
He does. He pulls in and stops. That stop and go penalty for Noah Gregson.
All right, let's not do that again, Tyler. It's going to be worse through there next time.
Take another look at what happened here.
Just wheel hopping. You see the back starting to slide around, and he's beyond being able to make the turn. Has to come to a stop. Real dirty right there. So he's got stuff all over the tires. He'll have to be careful these next couple of corners. Let's go down the Roval Peacock pit box. Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, you guys check that out.
Listen, if I'm Harrison Burton, I want this race to be over with. Okay, my teammates took a shot at me. We see the 9 car, but it has really ramped up. We see these guys racing for every point. Harrison Burton's having a great day, though.
Yeah, Harrison's done a fantastic job in dodging everything that he's had to, and keeping his car on track is the biggest thing, and not over-driving it. We're seeing a lot of that, and we talk about the brake issues. A lot of that comes from over-driving your car and not understanding the situation in some of these cases. So these drivers trying to get everything in the car, but they need to have the big picture at hand.
Big picture right now, AJ Allmendinger is out in front of Austin Cindric by almost 4 seconds, but Cindric now without anyone between him and AJ Allmendinger trying to close that gap.
Oof, close call for the leader. Allmendinger going by that car that had spun on the front stretch. I think that was the
Joe Graff Jr. in the 17 car.
Yeah, it was, you know, no harm, no foul, but one more challenge for Allmendinger. Comes out of the front stretch chicane thinking, what am I getting myself into?
Yellow car getting a little bit bigger in the mirror for AJ Allmendinger. This is what he was negotiating around. We go NASCAR nonstop. Only 12 laps to go. The NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs from Charlotte. Telecast presented by Blue Emu. And a reminder tomorrow. That's right, another elimination race for the Cup Series. They will go from 12 to 8. The bottom 4 in points will go down. You see that Jordan 23 jersey there? Yes, Michael Jordan, as well as Denny Hamlin. Will be talking with Craig Melvin. Today's show is Craig Melvin tomorrow, and Bubba Wallace on that historic win a week ago at Talladega. So that's all in front of us in Countdown to Green. As A.J. Allmendinger now a 3.8 second lead over Austin Cindric. And
Michael Jordan in his stands.
Can he make it 3 in a row? Thanks, Chris Rice, for watching the promo there.
We saw just before we went to break, A.J. Allmendinger coming up on Joe Graf Jr. on the front straightaway. Which way you going there, bud? That was close. And that cost a little bit of time, allowing Austin Cindric to close in just a little bit, but A.J. continues to have a healthy lead here, 4.7 seconds. See the 2 different approaches to the final chicane on the front straightaway. The 22 really wide, creates a little bit more of a straighter braking zone, so you're not turning, or the car's not loaded to the left or right as you brake.
Sam Mayer in that 8 car, you know, he's going to drive this car full time next year. We've seen him multiple racetracks. Richmond comes to mind, the road courses. He's got really good speed. And going into next year, I think you're going to have to deal with this young man. He's won a lot of races, and everything he's done this year was about getting his confidence, getting some experience. Moving into next year, Parker, I think this guy right here will be a threat.
Hey, and Jeff, as we're looking there at the 31 of Sage Karam, Rick, you mentioned earlier what a great run for him. The IndyCar driver, as we think of him as an IndyCar driver, in just his 3rd stock car start. Remember, his first was at the Indy road course here for Jordan Anderson Racing. Then he got a shot at Bristol, where he really surprised Jordan with figuring that out so quickly to short track, and now running the top 10, even was as high as the top 5. Awesome run for Sage Karam, who's going to definitely get some more shots in stock cars here coming soon. They said he's going to do the Martinsville truck race for Jordan Anderson, and then also Phoenix in this Xfinity car. It's going to be great to see, Dave.
Parker riding in 8th behind Sage Karam is Alex Labbe, the Canadian, who is very comfortable at this place from the very start. In fact, he has his 1 career top 5 here, a 4th place finish last year. But I asked him about running here one time and why he had so much pace here, and running in Canada in the Pinty Series, and as its champion back in 2017, he ran a lot of street courses that had the walls right up next to the track. And we talked about how there is no place to run off here to get offline and you hit a wall. So he's very comfortable with that, as he's been in street courses up in Canada, and another top 10 run. May have a little bit of a fuel issue. We'll see if he sips just enough to make it to the end from here.
A lot of pressure being put on Austin Cindric from Sam Mayer, the young man there with the rookie stripe on the back. Interesting, A.J. Allmendinger, Marcus Ambrose, and Austin Cindric. They are tied for the most ever wins on road courses at 5 apiece. A.J. Allmendinger can break that tie today if he's able to hold on for the next 10 laps.
I've been watching Cindric the last couple of corners through the chicane on the front straightaway, sliding tires here and there just a little bit. Really pushed this car pretty hard to try to eat into that lead. Now maybe giving up a little pace on the back end of the run here. And Sam, inexperienced young driver, the more laps he gets, the better he's going to get here. The faster he's going to get around this racetrack, and he's going to continue to improve, especially following one of the best to do it in the Xfinity Series on the road courses, Austin Cindric.
Sam Mayer's an 18-year-old, a 5-time ARCA winner. He was the youngest East champion ever. Junior, is that what you and Kelly saw in Sam Mayer when you decided to put him behind the wheel of the 8?
He's kind of been in this Chevrolet program, a bit of a development program with GMS and a few other teams, and we had him in our late model stock cars for a year or 2, working with Josh Berry as his teacher. And Sam was very good in our late models. Really surprised me with his pace and outran Josh a time or 2. And now he starts to put a little pressure on this 22 car, and he don't know it, but he's going to school right here. He's learning so much. Oh, and Austin's got big trouble right there. Big slide coming up the hill. You coast the car up the hill into 6 through turn 5, and you can get aggressive there. But this tire being really, really hard, it's so slick and easy to slip in the infield.
Sam Mayer right there, he was on the outside heading into the high banks, and it's just hard to get your car to turn. Austin Cindric able to get by. See right here, Cindric just overshot it. Yeah, just got out of line, back of the car, had to chase that, and now they're side by side. Look at that, just a big slide.
Well, in that battle, we're showing you a replay of what that's done is brought the 11 of Justin Haley into the mix, consistently a little bit faster, a couple lap fresher tires. He was almost the backstretch behind, but now you see him. I mean, 10, 15, maybe 20 car lengths behind both the 8 and the 22. I think Haley's hoping for a yellow so he can have a chance to catch his teammate Allmendinger for the win. Allmendinger's hoping he sees nothing of the sort. Dave.
It was an amazing save by Austin Cindric there, and you can see Sam Mayer is caught back up to him and is putting the pressure back on again. But Mayer believes that his car is not as good in the drive-off category. He radioed that back to his team. But if Austin hands him another corner like that, he's going to take advantage of it.
Almost put the bumper to the back of the 22 there with Sam Mayer aggressively getting in and out of these turns.
And when I look at what this series is about young drivers getting their opportunity, I watch this battle between Sam Mayer and Austin Cindric, Justin Haley behind them. Jeff, you and I have had this conversation, right? The Cup Series moved to 6 road courses now. Look at the Colleague organization with Haley and Allmendinger. So good at the super speedways, but also so good at the road courses. I think these owners are starting to adjust what type of talent they're looking for at the next level.
Well, you talk about Sam Mayer. He won the Trans Am race here, won the Trans Am race at Road America, right? So he clearly is a good road racer, and that's going to pay dividends. A new road course next year in the Xfinity Series, going out west. Portland. Marty, what do you have on Austin?
Well, all day long, Austin Cindric has been building tight the longer he has run, but this run clearly a little bit too free at the end of the run. You guys talked about what Sam Mayer is learning here, but think about the last few weeks for Sam Mayer, nearly winning that Bristol race, what he learned running up front in that race, and now following Austin Cindric Jr. I would say if he can somehow pass him clean legitimately on the racetrack, boy, that would just send Sam Mayer's confidence through the roof.
Yeah, I think the situation right here is just trying to show patience. He's obviously way faster than Austin, and he sees Haley closing in. So the patience, he starts to lose patience trying to get around this 22 car. At once, it was kind of fun, learning, trying to race. Now you're about to lose another position. Maybe you're costing yourself a lot of time. You get really impatient. He's trying to send it high here, so he'll have the inside line downhill into turn 7. Can't do it through turn 8 right here.
Crazy, uh-oh. 8's going to spin to 22. Here it comes, here it comes.
And now his work got harder, Sam Mayer's, because Haley has closed in on him. So now Sam Mayer can't just pay attention to being on offense. He's going to have to be on defense a little bit.
You guys mentioned moving up to the Cup Series. Well, Austin Cindric is going to the Cup Series next year. He'll be driving the 2 car for Penske Racing. That's already been announced. Also, we're riding along with Justin Haley. He will also run full-time in the Cup Series next year for Colleague Racing. Now, interestingly enough, Allmendinger, who is an experienced driver, has raced at the Cup level before. He opted to stay in the Xfinity Series. He wants to continue to run for a championship in the Xfinity Series, even though Colleague will have 2 cars in the Cup Series next year.
Haley got a big run right there into that chicane.
Yeah, he's
going to get both of them here.
Yeah. Thought he was going to get into the side of the 22 there, because I didn't know if the 22 of Cindric was going to be aware.
Really tough corner right there. Downhill. Heavy braking. Haley underneath Cindric.
Wow, that was an impressive move by Haley. I thought he was going to get overtaken back by the 8. Instead, he crossed over.
We've said multiple times about drivers with Trans Am experience. Well, Justin Haley has tons of Trans Am experience sideways underneath Cindric.
And this is surprising. Cindric normally so good and dominant on road courses, and right now the rookie Sam Mayer has been pressuring him, and here comes Justin Haley to put pressure on Cindric.
Well, you saw what happened right there. Haley trying to make a move on Cindric and just didn't work out for him and lost a lot of momentum.
They're going to cross over here. Haley not able to get into the braking zone as well as the 8. Wow, the 8 gets down in there. Surprised he made the corner. That's going to hurt him on corner exit a little bit to the 22. Right behind these guys, Hemrick's closed in to join this battle as well. 18 car right there. As they battle side by side, it's a slower lap time. 18 drawing in, the 54 as well, just behind them.
And guys, only 5 laps to go in the race. Allmendinger has a 9-second lead over this battle right here for second.
And what a battle this is.
The person that, you know, if you feel like you can be the one guy that can clear the 22, you can drive away from all these guys. So all of them are trying to be that guy.
And to Austin Cindric's credit, his car is not what it needs to be, but he's been able to stay in front of him. I mean, that's a great job of driving. You don't always have the best car, and when you don't, you got to find a way, and that's what Austin Cindric is doing right now.
This is pretty amazing. 2nd through 6th right now are right here, right on the screen. These 5 cars are running 2nd through 6th with under 5 laps to go in this race.
That's pretty impressive to see Cindric with so much pressure and not make a mistake. To your point, Jeff, he's going into the Cup Series, and it's because of things like this. Hopefully he doesn't go into the next chicane and wheel hop and spin himself out. But, you know, to be able to have all these cars beating on your back door and just continue to run your line lap after lap and hold them off for nothing. He doesn't need to. He advances into the next round. Riley Herbst to the garage. Parker.
All right, guys, we saw Riley Herbst there, who came into this race in a must-win position, had a rear-end issues. You see Ty Gibbs looking inside of Daniel Hemrick. He thought it was a shock at one point. Turned out to maybe be an axle in the 98 they've taken behind the garage. He will not be advancing the playoffs.
And I think this is why this battle right here is so important, because remember, A.J. Allmendinger has already said once that he had a little bit of a sticky transmission.
Oh, the 22, a little wide right there. You saw it, Steve, a little smoke out of the left front tire.
Yeah, the 11 and the 8 continue to beat and bang. And my point is, you know, Allmendinger, we don't wish him any bad luck, but this is a very tough track on both drivers and equipment, so you want to be that next car in line.
And Haley, you know, he's really good in points, but doesn't want to he's 49 points good right now, so he can be aggressive. Even if you had a bad day, got in a wreck, you still should advance into the next round of the playoffs.
But you could tell, though, Jeff, to your point, Haley has yet to make contact with anyone through the infield. He's been side by side with both the 22 and the 8. Very clean racing.
And that's
caution's out.
There's the yellow.
Oh, we got a car coming on the pit road. A lot of smoke. The 44. Tommy Joe Martins.
A lot of damage to the right front.
He's made some contact with the wall.
Oh,
heavy contact. They had a little right front damage throughout the day. I don't know if that was a result of a blown tire, but obviously he's had heavy contact with the outside wall.
And so some debris on the racetrack, a caution coming out, and this one will be a sprint, and it will bunch everyone back up for the restart.
Well, remember, we heard the concern about fuel for a few of these cars. You see the heavy contact with the outside safer barrier. So with 3 to go here, you wonder if this isn't going to drive us into overtime. And if it does, all of those drivers that pitted on 36, I thought they were fine on fuel, but we've had a few reports from our pit reporters that drivers were being asked to save fuel. Ty Gibbs comes to mind. So we'll have to listen in on the radios and see what all these teams have to say about their fuel situation.
And all day long, we've talked about the battle between Harrison Burton and Jed Burton. Well, now, with only 3 laps to go, the caution coming out, that's going to put both of these teams in a position of what do? Do you pit here for tires? You can easily change 12, 14 positions on a late race restart.
You can see the frustration in the eyes of A.J. Allmendinger with such a big lead and a late yellow, kind of changing the complexity of this race.
Well, Junior and Jeff, if I'm Jeff Burton right here, I'm right behind Harrison. I'm doing whatever he doesn't. If Harrison comes to get some tires, I'm staying on the racetrack. If Harrison doesn't come get tires, I'm coming to get them. Because, listen, we've run next to each other all day long. You asked me at the beginning of the show, Dale, you said, hey, what pit strategy would you do? I've tried everything in stage 1, everything in stage 2. It didn't work. So at this point, I'm going to put you on an opposite strategy and hope it falls our way.
There you see Tommy Joe Martins in the wall already. Big impact.
And you see all the sparks and debris.
We're going to see the AJ so frustrated because he had the race won.
That's what a man with a 9-second lead, when the caution comes out, that's what he looks like. Extremely frustrated.
Yeah, 3 laps to go in the race. Shocker.
He knew it wasn't going to be that easy. Not that it's been easy, but hey, what did they tell him at the beginning? patience, no dents, and he's done. He's put this car all the way in the right position. I mentioned a great pit call by this entire organization. Right there you see Jason, the crew chief on the 16, big Matt Colleague standing behind him, no radio on. He's not sure if that's, maybe he doesn't want the information. He's just an onlooker at the moment.
3 to the good right now. Just save all you can, okay, buddy?
There you go, 3 to the good. That was some of our question about fuel as we see overtime pop up. I think this will get into overtime. But the first question is pitting. So it sounds like Allmendinger, he's obviously not going to pit from the lead. But someone's going to. Somewhere in this field, there's going to be a point where drivers feel they need to go get some fresh tires.
So the 22 of Cindric struggling like he is, maybe he pits and drags. You know, that first guy always drags everybody with him. That could be a bad situation for AJ.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see that in his mirror for sure. So let's see right here. Green light's on. We got the first one. Second one staying out, it looks like. Someone's going to be the first one to pit. Nobody inside the top 10. Oh, Hemrick. I take that back. Hemrick says, and as you pointed out, Dale Jr., he pulls a few behind him. Oh, more keep coming. That's going to make this call by Hemrick more advantageous with less cars to pass. Dave.
They knew that they had advanced. You see the graphic there on the left, so they are through to the next round. They said, we're only here for one thing. I can't win this way. Bring it down pit road. 4 fresh Goodyear tires. The 7 of Justin Allgaier, about his tires, he said they are shot. And so they wanted to come down pit road as well. Again, having overcome a lot of damage today, Marty.
Dave, an impressive run for Myatt Snyder after that penalty. Restarted 31st, had driven up to 19th just on merit. Here's 4 fresh Goodyear tires to see what they can do with this overtime finish.
And all that conversation between the Burton cousins, and amazingly they both stay on the racetrack. I'm not sure I understand that, Jeff, but we'll see how it plays out.
I tell you what's going to be tough is they're really going to be the first cars that don't have tires. So there's going to be a ton of pressure coming from behind them with new tires. We've seen new tires matter. So, you know, Daniel Hemrick coming off pit road with tires, he is going to line up almost right directly behind Jeb Burton.
And when I sat down with you, Steve, when we went to work, I begged you never to put me in that situation. I understand when we got to stay out on the racetrack and there's going to be times when I'm not going to be able to come down and get tires, but don't let me be the last guy on used tires with all those fresh tires behind me. That is such a terrible situation for a driver.
If there was going to be contact and a car spun, we were going to do the spinning. We were going to be pushing somebody else off the racetrack because, to your point, you know, I want you to showcase your talent, and I don't believe you could do that on old tires. That you're just trying to stay out of the way. Parker.
And Steve, I found this an odd call as well, and in listening to the 10's radio, they were discussing this situation, and right at the end there, before the caution came out, the 20 of Harrison Burton was actually backing up to them, so they were questioning if he maybe has an issue, has overworked those tires and felt like they were maybe the better car at the end, so they committed to staying out and staying right near that 20 here. We'll see how this works out for them.
So much on the line right now for both Harrison Burton and Jeb Burton. You're fighting for that final spot in the playoffs tomorrow. The same thing coming. 9 drivers separated by 22 points. It's an elimination race. That's right. 12 drivers will go to 8, and we will relive what Bubba Wallace was able to accomplish 1 week ago, as well as hear from car owners Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. We'll be with today's show's Craig Melvin.
I'm going to charge my calculator all night, Rick, because with that many drivers that close in points, tomorrow is going to be everything we've seen today times about 10.
So here's what concerns me for Harrison Burton and Jeb Burton. Which one will get through it? There's going to be so much momentum coming from behind them. You want to be the aggressor. The situation they're in, they've got new tires behind them. They're not going to be able to force the issue. Are you just going to get spun out because you're not quick enough? This is a really, really tough situation for both of those drivers.
And I think that Harrison's in a pretty decent situation being on the inside. He has a little more control over where he can go, what he can do on these restarts. Jeb on the outside could get put in a 3-wide situation, could be boxed out on the corner exit of turn 1. This could be a tough situation for Jeb to overcome.
And remember, older tires on these guys going into turn 1.
Well, Hemrick, you know, I know he's 5 or 6, 7 rows back in that pink number 18, but this turns 1 to 2 and 3 or 4 of the oval. They're big. It's wide. If you can get through the infield in 5 or 6 spots, he's going to have a shot at it.
That outside line's a little bit dirty as well into turn 1. Keep an eye.
It's overtime presented by Credit One Bank. It will be 2 laps to go when they get to the start-finish line. Green flag back in the air.
Cindric really slow on the start.
And pushing into turn number 1. 4 wide back here for position as Hemrick aggressively coming up through the field. Allmendinger trying to stay in front of Sam Mayer.
Sam Mayer searching for that first win in the Xfinity Series is going to be aggressive.
Allmendinger trying to be the winningest road course driver ever in Xfinity Series history if he can get out front and win this one.
There's a little slip by AJ through turn 6 there, down into 7. Sam sees that issue. Good exit off of that corner though by AJ. He's going to drive away as they continue to accelerate, headed toward the braking zone of the back straightaway, expanding that lead. Get out of those corners. Get out of the corners with the long straightaways.
And the 18 of Hemrick already inside the top 8 right there. The pink car that just entered the screen. Remember, 2.3 miles for every lap. All kinds of corners left if he can continue to make ground with those new tires.
He's got 6 cars to pass if he wants to get his first ever win in NASCAR.
Big spin in the back straightaway chicane. Cars trying to negotiate that. A lot of smoke. Looks like everybody's pulling away.
Looking to get the white flag. The one of Annette not moving. The white flag came out. Allmendinger.
No mistake.
In front.
But NASCAR is going to let it go. Okay, the one now is moving the backstretch. I expect it to end under green. The 54 now into second. Hemrick into 5th.
Allmendinger now with a 1.8 second lead over Ty Gibbs. Sam Mayer's fallen to 3rd.
Oh,
and
Sam's
around goes
Ty.
Ty Gibbs. He keeps it going the right direction.
What a save.
That was a great save. I told you those guys are rivals, man. They go at each other when they race.
Sam got underneath Ty going down that little short stretch, and Ty tried to block that move. Sam wasn't having anything to do with that. Ty did a great job of saving that car. Now we're side by side for second.
Pulling away. The 16 of Allmendinger looking for win 6 as they go side by side for second. Cindric on the inside. Sam Mayer sliding. He'll have to stop. Here comes Hemrick.
Go.
Hemrick trying to get by Cindric for second. But Allmendinger now with over a 2-second lead through the final chicane for the final time. Once again, Allmendinger has shown he is a road course superstar. He wins at Charlotte.
Hell yeah, let's go! Yes!
They're wrecking on the front stretch again. A fight for position between the Burtons. To see who will make it, we see Brandon Brown go across the start-finish line backwards. Who is the final car to advance? It looks like it will be Harrison Burton. Finishing close enough to Jeb Burton. He has enough points. He's above the cut line.
Good tracks coming up for us. Good work today, good execution. Good job, spotters. Thank you.
Unofficially, you look at the points through the round of 12. Allmendinger with the win. He will advance, and more importantly, he gains another 5 playoff points that will start the round of 8 with him. Dave.
And Rick, this just barely was a win for him. He just announced to the team that the car started missing coming to the white flag. It was short on fuel, and if he makes it around to actually do the burnouts, I'll be surprised.
A lot went on in that last lap. AJ Allmendinger did a great job keeping that lead, but we saw Hemrick charge into the top 3 there. With the 54 spinning around, some action on the front stretch caught my attention because you had to get both of the 2 Burton cars. We watched Jimmy Johnson be eliminated from the playoffs in the last corner here at Charlotte before, so we knew it was going to come down to every single corner.
And it did. Jeb Burton finishes unofficially about 3 spots in front of Harrison Burton, but they came in. Harrison Burton had enough of a lead. It looks like he will be a part of the round of 8 as Allmendinger about ready to celebrate Again, his 6th road course win. That's the most of any Xfinity Series driver ever. Five wins on the season for A.J. Allmendinger, and coming into this season he had only accomplished that 5 times in his career, so equaling what his career number was when he started 2021. He won the regular season, and now Allmendinger wins at the Roval for the 3rd time in a row. Marty.
Rick, what an incredible way to go into the round of 8 for A.J. Allmendinger. A win for the Dinger here at the Roval. Again, his 3rd straight, as you just mentioned a moment ago. Holds up the number 1 to the fans here. Gets the checkered flag. Waving to the fans. And he gives it to a young man wearing an A.J. Allmendinger t-shirt. How about that? That's good timing, isn't it? What was your thought when that caution came out with a handful of laps to go and you got a 9-second lead?
I knew it was coming out. Like it wasn't going to go simple like that. That was a fight today. You know, we had to be kind of on defense early, worrying about the points. And this place was tough to pass. The track was really slick to begin with, obviously with all the rain. So I can't thank all the men and women at College Racing enough. Matt College, Chris Rice. The Type Rice Chevy, once it got in the lead, was stupid fast. So, God, I love having everybody back. like, you all are what makes this so much fun. So it's, I'm just proud of everybody at College Racing. You know, the big picture's championship, but get another win, 3 in a row here at the Roval. It means the world to me. Thank you. So. Everybody, Leaf Filter Gutter Protection, Leaf Home Solutions, Ellsworth Advisors, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Celsius, can't thank ECR and Chevy enough, Xfinity for allowing us to do this. So this was, what an awesome day.
Boy, they survived everything, including the car stumbling, coming to the white flag. A.J. Allmendinger, 3rd straight win at the Roval.
Mr. North Carolina getting the win here at the Charlotte Roval. And what a way A.J. Allmendinger does it. He dominates throughout the race. In that final stage, even overcomes a late race caution where he has to battle for the final restart in overtime, and he gets it done. We'll wrap things up from Charlotte when we return.
Speedway, America's home for racing. That includes the dirt track, where the AMA flat track motorcycle racers are getting ready to toss a leg over the bike and throttle up for their season final. It's $25 to be able to go and see all of that action. The Dinger going to head to the formal victory lane ceremony. The rest of the cars going through the inspection process. What a wonderful Saturday, and appreciate all of you taking the time to come out to Charlotte Motor Speedway. CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for all the information all throughout the year. Whether you're coming to the World of Outlaws World Finals in November, just less than a month away, or Speedway Christmas. Miles of lights and memories. What a great event that is throughout the month of December and beyond. Speedway Christmas right around the corner.
Huge day for the Cup Series. That's right, it is a cut race. 12 drivers get knocked down to 8. The bottom 4 in points will be eliminated from their playoff hopes. We will hear from Bubba Wallace after his historic win a week ago at Talladega, as well as car owners Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. They will sit down with today's Craig Melvin, who will be with them. And you take a look at the playoff leaderboard. On the Xfinity side, these are the 8 that are advancing, and once you reset the points, you add the playoff points that they have earned up to this point. And A.J. Allmendinger, he has 50 points above where Brandon Jones is starting, actually 47 with the 3003. So once they get through Martinsville, which will be the 3rd race of the round of 8, the 4 will be determined who will make it to the championship at Phoenix. And just outside of that playoff picture is Jeb Burton. Parker's with him.
Jeb Burton came into this playoff cutoff race 8 points behind his cousin Harrison Burton. You end the race unofficially 8 points behind Harrison. What were you fighting today? What more did you need to go up and beat him?
Yeah, I made a couple mistakes today, Parker. Got in the wall when I was side by side with Harrison, and luckily it didn't end our day, but I just need some more laps here. You know, I hadn't raced here before, and I was getting better and better. Just appreciate colleague and everything they're doing for me, and congrats to AJ. He helped me a lot. Just need a little bit more.
Obviously, here's Jeb Burton here, very disappointed not to advance in the playoffs.
All right, guys, so A.J. Allmendinger, momentum going into the next round of the playoffs, but let's look forward to tomorrow and that Cup Series cut race as far as who's going to advance out of that. Can Kevin Harvick battle his way above the cut line?
Well, can he? Absolutely. Will he? I don't know. All the drivers above him, when you look at those Cup Series standings, they're all the best road course races. You have Chase Elliott right there. Other guys that have found success here before. Chase has won the last 2, much like A.J. Allmendinger did coming in here today, guys. So that's really the question to me, is who advances and who finds a little bit of momentum on that Cup side.
Well, we saw, again, a reminder today just how difficult this racetrack is, and these Xfinity drivers had to deal with it. And now tomorrow, the Cup drivers are going to have to deal with it, and it's not going to get any easier overnight. This is a huge test for all of them.
Yeah, hopefully they were all taking notes and watching the Xfinity guys and seeing the mistakes they made into the back straightaway chicane. A lot of mistakes early in this race, using those curbs too aggressively, damaging, ripping, and tearing up race cars. There's a lot to learn from this race, and I'm sure those guys were tuned in.
Allmendinger wins 3 in a row here. Can Chase Elliott do the same? He's in that position.
Can he? Absolutely. I mean, why not? We've seen his speed already. He won at Road America. He's proven that road course success has not diminished.
Well, there's more NASCAR coverage. It's always available on NBCSports.com. Coming up next on NBC, your local news except on the West Coast. Later tonight, an all-new Saturday Night Live with guest host Kim Kardashian West and music from Halsey. It is a great battle on the racetrack. It was A.J. Allmendinger who stayed consistent, kept the car clean, was able to get his 3rd win in a row here at the Roval. He moves on, winner here at Charlotte.